Good morning, 5 o'clock now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. 45 degrees right now. Pretty good. It's going up to 60 today. More on some rain that's arriving after that in the forecast to come. Governor Bill Lee's school voucher bill quickly passed through two House committees yesterday. Now it's on track to be debated on the House floor, possibly tonight. That bill was amended to require students who receive a voucher to take a standardized test to compare their scores with kids going through the public schools. And there is news about the nation's public schools this morning, and it's not good. ABC's Rhiannon Alley reports.
The National Assessment of Education Progress shows 4th and 8th grade students are faring even worse in math and reading than in recent years. Compared to 2019, average reading scores are down 5 points. And in math, 4th graders are down 3%. 8th graders sliding 8%. Experts say the results show reading is a greater challenge than math. The score declines appear to be driven by lower performing students falling farther behind, while top performing students are showing some recovery since the pandemic.
The report also shows 12% of 8th graders reported missing at least 5 days of school per month. A person's in critical condition after a shooting in Nashville last night. This happened about 8 o'clock at the Southern Hills condominiums on Wallace Road. Police say they don't have a suspect in custody. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt with a message to the media during the first White House press briefing of President Trump's second term.
While I vow to provide the truth from this podium, we ask that all of you in this room hold yourselves to that same standard.
Leavitt promising to call out any lies that the media promotes while she is at the helm of the communications team. Market numbers now. Here's Michelle Franzen.
Wall Street regained its footing today after a run on tech stocks Monday when a Chinese upstart company revealed a new low-cost artificial intelligence model. That throws doubt on the extravagant costs of the American AI research frenzy. The Dow was up 137 points. The Nasdaq gained 392. The S&P closed 55 points higher. Consumer confidence dips again. The Conference Board reports American short-term expectations for income, business, and the job market fell 2.6 points to 83.9. Any reading below 80 can signal a potential recession in the near future. General Motors topped profit and revenue expectations for the fourth quarter, but still recorded a loss, with the car company taking a $5 billion write-down of its increasingly challenging Chinese operations. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
And stock futures looking a little flat this morning. The Dow futures are down 17. NASDAQ futures, they're up 84 points. And the S&P futures are plus 5. That's the latest news. We've got your traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Looking pretty good this morning. The major roads, smooth sailing into Nashville. No problems to report so far. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.506 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. How are you? It is Wednesday, January 29th of 2025. As far as your weather today, it's going to be a high around 60 degrees, and appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News. A lot of news today. I got to tell you that I was so impressed with Caroline Leavitt yesterday. This was her first ever White House press briefing, and she absolutely knocked it out of the park. So we'll be playing some of the select audio cuts here throughout the morning on Nashville's Morning News. One of the things that made news yesterday, and I'm sure that you've heard, that Donald Trump has canceled federal grants and assistance. Now, I keep telling you that I'm not going to allow the left's hysteria and the mainstream media's hysteria to control my news cycle. But I also need to make sure that folks know exactly what is going on so that I can tell you the truth as opposed to what they are reporting. And so this was a big story that really did blow up yesterday as Donald Trump did order this pause on federal grants and loans. But there's a reason why he did that. We have so much money going out the door that the president is like, okay, where's all this money going? Because there's like over $1 trillion, and the question is this money being well spent, or is it being spent on stupidity? So the OMB announcing this week that it would go into effect yesterday at 5 p.m. Now, a judge has put a stop to it. But basically, they wanted to make sure that all of these grants and all of the assistance that the federal government is doling out is consistent with Donald Trump's vision and America's priorities, because Americans in great numbers voted on Donald Trump's priorities. And so if previous presidents, like Joe Biden, had all of these grants and all of this assistance going out, and it didn't match our priorities, then we need to take a second look at it. Now, we hand out like billions and billions of dollars in loans and assistance. Oftentimes, they're related to values that don't align with America's. That is just a fact. And so Trump doesn't want taxpayer dollars going to a progressive agenda. Could be the Green New Deal kind of stuff, a trans procedures for kids kind of stuff. So for me, I think that this is a good idea. But like everything that Donald Trump does, it was hair on fire, sky is falling, chickens with their heads cut off kind of a thing. And so Caroline Leavitt yesterday, she got really specific.
Well, I think there's only uncertainty in this room amongst the media. There's no uncertainty in this building. So let me provide the certainty and the clarity that all of you need. This is not a blanket pause on federal assistance and grant programs from the Trump administration. Individual assistance, that includes, I'm not naming everything that's included, but just to give you a few examples, Social Security benefits, Medicare benefits, food stamps, welfare benefits, assistance that is going directly to individuals will not be impacted by this pause. And I want to make that very clear to any Americans who are watching at home who may be a little bit confused about some of the media reporting.
Yeah, from the internal memo. The use of federal resources to advance Marxist equity, transgenderism, and Green New Deal social engineering policies is a waste of taxpayer dollars that does not improve the day-to-day lives of those we serve. So that is clearly in stark contrast from what the left was saying. The media really amplified comments like this one made by Chuck Schumer.
In an instant, Donald Trump has shut off billions, perhaps trillions of dollars that directly support states, cities, towns, schools, hospitals, small businesses, and most of all, American families. This is a dagger at the heart of the average American family in red states, in blue states, in cities, in suburbs, in rural areas.
All right, so that is Chuck Schumer. So hearing all of this hair on fire, it seems to me like this is relatively simple. This is going to impact some nonprofits, universities, any place that does get federal grants or funding. Now, many times these types of institutions, they're doing things that do not align with American values. At least those values that we voted on last year, and clearly we voted for the values of Donald Trump and not progressives in the left.
So what does this pause mean? It means no more funding for illegal DEI programs. It means no more funding for the Green New scam that has cost American taxpayers tens of billions of dollars. It means no more funding for transgenderism and wokeness across our federal bureaucracy and agencies. No more funding for Green New Deal social engineering policies. Again, people who are receiving individual assistance, you will continue to receive that. And President Trump is looking out for you by issuing this pause because he is being good steward of your taxpayer dollars.
I have no issue with this whatsoever. Now, if there are unintended consequences, then we need to look at that. The Medicaid portals shut down yesterday, and you had a lot of people trying to tie what Trump did with the shutting down of the Medicaid portals. From what I'm understanding, completely separate issue. Democrats in the media tried to tie it to Trump and this pause on grants and funding. And so Democrats falling all over themselves, trying to blame Trump and tie it to this pause. But here's the deal, and people are talking about this on the socials. I wouldn't put it past the Democrats to crash the servers intentionally to try to blame Donald Trump. I wouldn't.
It's exactly what I thought, too.
I knew it. I knew it wasn't just me and others.
It's not a conspiracy theory. It's absolutely what those people who have been left behind in the federal government that are still to the left want to do to make things work poorly for the president.
Absolutely. And by the way, agencies have to report back by February 10th on where the money is going. So isn't it accountability? Isn't that all the president is asking for is accountability? Yes.
But here's the word they want to be able to use. Chaos. His reforms are creating chaos within the federal government.
Well, maybe there needs to be a little chaos. We pay over $1 trillion in all of this funding. And so, as I said previously, Trump is trying to wrap his arms around it and see where we spend on stupid stuff. Now, if you want some examples, here you go. Over $100 million in DOJ grant money was apparently awarded to promote programs like restorative justice, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and social emotional learning in K through 12 programs, in K through 12 classrooms. That is impacting over 3 million students across 36 states. Now, I think it is clear that the American people, with one of the big things that Trump campaigned on, was ending all of the woke crap in America. That is $100 million of woke crap. That's the kind of stuff that Donald Trump wants to have stopped. In California, an elementary school received a $250,000 federal grant for a program called Woke Kindergarten, which was actually canceled due to its controversial content promoting anti-Semitism, anti-Americanism, and anti-whiteness sentiments. But this is the kind of stuff we're talking about, folks. How about one more? The administration issued a $1.5 billion grant for projects, Biden, for projects promoting racial equity, union jobs, climate healing, showing a focus on social justice and environmental issues through federal funding. So that's the whole point. Those are the kinds of things that Donald Trump is trying to stop. Those are the kinds of things that we need to stop paying for. Because if there was anything that this last election proved, it was that the American people are sick and tired of the woke stuff, specifically sick and tired of paying for it. Got a lot more straight ahead. 5:15 on Nashville's Morning News. Time to check the roads on WTN.
You may see some construction spots set up this morning, but otherwise there's no big delays heading into Nashville. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. 5:15. As far as your weather today, 60 degrees is going to be your high, and it's going to be a mix of clouds and sun today. One reporter, by the way, asked Caroline Levitt, Caroline, is it Caroline, right? Caroline Levitt, if Trump is trying to prove to Congress with the pause that he can take their purse strings responsibilities away, because we all know Congress is responsible for the purse strings. And Caroline Levitt said, no, Donald Trump, the only thing he is trying to prove is that under his administration, there's going to be some accountability for spending.
No, as it says right here in the memo, which I have, and I'd encourage all of you to read it, it says the American people elected President Trump to be the president of the United States and gave him a mandate to increase the impact of every federal dollar. This memo requires federal agencies to identify and review all federal financial assistance programs and supporting activities consistent with the president's policies and requirements. The American people gave President Trump an overwhelming mandate on November 5th, and he's just trying to ensure that the tax money going out the door in this very bankrupt city actually aligns with the will and the priorities of the American people.
I love how she called Washington, D.C. bankrupt. Federal judge has paused Trump's pause. See what I did there? Federal judge is pausing the pause. Lawsuits were filed. It is my hope, though, that they'll still look at these programs that could be impacted and move forward with eliminating the DEI stuff. You know what I liken this to, Joan? I liken this to if you join a gym, or if you have some sort of a subscription to, I don't know, an app or whatever it is. And then at some point, you're like, where the heck is all my money going?
Yeah. Yes.
And so then you start looking through the apps that you've bought, the subscriptions that you have, the memberships that you have, and you're like, I'm spending $212 on stuff that either I no longer use, I forgot that I had, etc.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's what Donald Trump is trying to do.
And that when you're doing it on the federal government level, it's our money that's going out to these things. Of course you want them to audit themselves.
They won't audit themselves unless Donald Trump forces them,
Yes.
unless Donald Trump makes them. Condoms in Gaza. So this was interesting.
Unbelievable.
So in case you missed it, and Caroline Levitt spoke about this yesterday. This is one of my favorite sound bites from Caroline Levitt.
So that's what this pause is focused on, being good stewards of tax dollars.
Being good
Just
stewards of
during
tax
this-
dollars. And this is part of what she said when she is announcing the fact that we were about to spend millions of dollars for condoms in Gaza. And I'm sure you've heard by now what they use those condoms for, right?
This was shocking to me.
It's for making bombs.
I didn't get it.
Listen to this.
Just during this pause, Doge and OMB have actually found that there was $37 million that was about to go out the door to the World Health Organization, which is an organization, as you all know, that President Trump, with the swipe of his pen in that executive order, is no longer wants the United States to be a part of. So that wouldn't be in line with the president's agenda. Doge and OMB also found that there was about to be 50 million taxpayer dollars that went out the door to fund condoms in Gaza. That is a preposterous waste of taxpayer money. So that's what this pause is focused on, being good stewards of tax dollars.
There you go.
I was hoping I was hearing you wrong.
No.
Isn't that crazy?
That is, you said condoms and I just went, I'm sorry.
Yeah, condoms in Gaza. I guess what they do is they put, I mean, for lack of a better way to say it, they put explosives and bombs in the condoms.
And then they throw them over the wall.
Yep.
I didn't believe it when I heard it on the 5
Yep.
last night, and I said, "Oh, that's crazy. He's just kidding." And I looked it up, and they actually do put bombs in these condoms. So we're sending them the components of a bomb. I
Yeah.
mean,
It's a it's a it's a bomb delivery system. Palestinian terrorists in Gaza began launching improvised explosive devices, IEDs, including condoms and balloons, into Israel's south in 2017. Condoms and balloons with explosive devices attached to them landed in schoolyards, agricultural fields, and highways and caused significant physical and psychological damage. And we're funding some of that stuff. So I absolutely love that Joe Biden, is doing all this stuff or did all this stuff, and now we're putting a stop to it. And I think it's absolutely right that Caroline Leavitt call out the Biden administration, because the former Biden administration, because the American people do need to know about the reckless policies of the Democrats. Because guess what? In a little under 2 years, the midterms are coming. And we need to make sure that the American people know everything that those Democrats were up to. 521. And Joan Jones has the news coming up. And Joan, what is coming up?
school vouchers yesterday, immigration today. That's what state lawmakers will be talking about behind closed doors. And we'll take a look at RFK Jr. as he faces confirmation hearings today. And we'll tell you who his biggest foe is. That's coming up here at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
526. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. So from what I understand, President Donald Trump has endorsed the Governor Bill Lee's Tennessee Education Freedom Act. And so our poll is up. And my question is this, because I've had a lot of conversations with some of my Republican friends, and I was a little surprised at some of the responses, because some are saying, this is great. He's endorsing Governor Lee's program. And by and large, a lot of the Republicans in this state want it. But there's other Republicans and conservatives that are like, this is state politics. And does anybody really believe that Donald Trump knows all of the ins and outs, all of the idiosyncrasies, all of the details of this bill, which, by the way, we don't even know because they haven't even started debating yet. So we don't ultimately know what's going to be in this bill. So our poll question is this. Jeff, our poll question is?
Sorry, I was trying to find...
When I pause, that's your cue, my friend.
I was looking for that little White House thing you were talking about. So President Trump's endorsed the Public Education Freedom Act. Do you care? 80% say yes, he's the president.
80% say that yes. So the poll
Come on,
question...
it's only a half hour old, though.
The poll question is, do you care that President Trump has endorsed it? So one was, yes, he's the president. And the other option is, no, he should stay out of state politics. So, I mean, I thought it was interesting because I'm going to be honest with you. I'm for this legislation. And if that means that some of you folks are going to hate me, well, then that's fine. Hate me all you want. I'm an equal opportunity hater, apparently. But here's the deal. And, Joan, you had a story today about our public school system.
Oh, it's terrible.
And that just tells you the reason why we need to have the Education Freedom Act. Now, are there parts of this that I probably won't like when all is said and done? Yeah, probably. Are there details that I don't yet know? Yeah, there's details that I don't yet know. But by and large, as a conservative, this is a conservative tenet. But putting all that aside, I do understand when people are just a little cynical when Donald Trump, out of the blue, endorses this thing because he doesn't know the details. And I like Donald Trump. I voted for the man 3 times. So there's some folks that are saying, oh, give me a break. But Donald Trump respects the heck out of Governor Lee, I believe. And I think that they have found a new way about their relationship. I think that there is a more of a mutual respect. And I think that Donald Trump is doing this as a solid for Governor Lee and Republicans in the state of Tennessee. 529 coming up on 530 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 5:30 now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Governor Bill Lee's school voucher, a bill appears to be on a glide path to being passed by the state legislature after it was passed through 2 House committees yesterday. Next up for legislators is immigration. They'll consider banning sanctuary cities in Tennessee, establishing an immigration enforcement division, and setting money aside to support the federal immigration policies. This woman spoke to Channel 4. She has been in Nashville illegally for the past 15 years.
This is one of the scariest things that I just have to think about. I have 3 sons, and one of my sons has autism. So I am just trying to figure out what is going to happen if we are going to be separate or they are going to separate from my sons.
Mass deportations nationwide continue in major cities like Chicago and New York. RFK Jr. is facing confirmation hearings today as he hopes to become the next Secretary of Health and Human Services. But it's his own family that's doing the most harm.
RFK Jr. once calling COVID vaccines a crime against humanity. But according to Bloomberg, he's set to tell a Senate committee hearing, I believe vaccines have a critical role in health care. Those claims have faced skepticism after Kennedy's niece, Carrie Kennedy Meltzer, who's a doctor, shared emails which she says came from her uncle during the pandemic. In the emails, he makes baseless claims, including that Moderna's vaccine had a 100% injury rate and that Pfizer's shot dramatically increased mortality rates.
ABC's Nicole D'Antonio reporting. And the more you smoke pot, the more damage to your brain. There's a new study out from the Human Connectome Project. It was published in the Journal of the American Medical Association. It found heavy cannabis use is linked with reduced brain activity in certain areas of the brain, responsible for decision-making, memory, paying attention, and emotional processing. That's the latest news. We've got traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Still no problems on the roads heading in this morning, although it does look a little bit slow on 24 after the merge with 65 this morning. So that would be 24 in the eastbound side heading into Nashville. Looks slow. Not sure why. Could just be a volume delay there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
536, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends, along with KGB Jeff Malinoff and Joan Jones. I'm Dan Mandis. Hello. So today, Joan and KGB, today is my day.
It's your day.
It is my day. Do you know why it is my day?
Because you're getting your eye something straight. Whatever it is, I can't even think about it.
I'm getting my cataracts fixed. And no, that's not why it's my day.
Oh, okay.
It is my day because this is the day that has been designated as Dan Mandis Day, otherwise known as Curmudgeon Day.
Oh.
Today is Curmudgeon Day.
Man, I was gonna.
Nice, Joan.
Thank you.
Yeah, today is. I didn't actually know that they had a day designated strictly for curmudgeons.
It's literally for. They have a day for literally everything, don't they? And I don't like to use
it's a daily thing. There are some woefully unprepared radio personalities that do like, what day is it? Every day.
Yeah.
And that's what they do. And everybody goes, ha, ha. Not me, though. It's only when it's important to me.
Like Curmudgeon Day.
Like Curmudgeon Day.
Yeah.
You have it on your calendar circled.
So does it mean that if you're a curmudgeon today, we're supposed to be okay with it?
Yes.
Gotcha.
You should be just, you know what, a little more sympathetic and empathetic and tolerant of the curmudgeon in your life.
Yeah.
So I can't add to the complaint box today?
No, you can't.
Okay.
Why don't you try being a little supportive? Maybe I wouldn't be such a curmudgeon. All right, I'm just kidding. Do you know who was would you call me in all honesty? No, you know what? Hold on.
Do you really want to know?
I have a list of curmudgeon people if you want to compare yourself to them.
I want to know from the super textures. This is going to be terrible.
Oh, this is not a good idea.
Would you consider... Okay, no, I'm going to do this a better way. Dan Mandis, Chris Hand, Matt Murphy, or Chad Benson?
Who's more curmudgeon-y?
Of the four of us, who's the bigger curmudgeon? It's not going to be Chris Hand.
It's either you or Murphy.
Right.
It's either me or Murphy. See, that's what I was thinking in my head, but I didn't want to be unfair to...
Chad is too nice a guy to be curmudgeoned.
Okay, fair enough. So I guess it's between me and Murphy.
Yeah.
Who's the bigger curmudgeon, me or Murphy? So, do you know who inspired Curmudgeon Day, by the way?
You?
No, believe it or not.
No.
No.
Oscar the Grouch.
W.C. Fields.
Oh.
He was apparently a curmudgeon. I didn't know that. He was born on this day back in 1880.
Oh, so roughly around the same time as you.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Ha!
On the super text line 0866, it's his birthday today, so he gets to be a year older on Curmudgeon Day. Isn't that cool?
Yes. Who? W.C. Fields?
No, on the super text line 0866.
Oh, got it. Okay, got it.
I've always said you don't listen to me,
Yeah.
and now I have proof.
12 popular curmudgeons from the pop culture. Okay. So, do you have a favorite curmudgeon, Joan, besides me?
There was my dad. Yeah.
Okay, your dad was a curmudgeon.
Yeah, he was a curmudgeon.
How about pop culture? And how about you, KGB?
In pop culture, Ron Swanson was probably my favorite curmudgeon.
Who's Ron Swanson?
From Parks and Rec.
Oh.
Okay. Archie
He was
Bunker.
super libertarian.
Archie Bunker was the perfect curmudgeon.
Archie Bunker was the absolute perfect curmudgeon.
So in college, I was in this media class, and we were talking about like just how television has evolved over the last few years. And they played the Archie Bunker episode where he's talking to the guy, and he's like, "You don't need to live here. Like this is a certain area." You know, they was like pretty racially
he was talking
charged.
to Meathead.
Yeah, no. It was like the first episode.
Okay.
So and he was like a racially charged conversation, let's say, and they try to guilt trip you into like, would you guys watch this today? Because it was still funny.
Yeah.
But they were trying to, obviously the teacher was trying to guilt trip you into thinking it's not okay to even laugh at that.
Right.
So.
Right.
That was my first introduction to Archie Bunker.
Would you call Jerry Seinfeld's character in Seinfeld a curmudgeon?
No, who's the other guy?
No.
Who's the tall guy?
Well, no, it wouldn't be Kramer. George Costanza may be a curmudgeon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, here's the 12 popular curmudgeons from pop culture. Archie Bunker.
Yeah.
Donald Duck.
Donald Duck?
How old's Donald Duck?
That's what they say, man. Dorothy Zbornak from the Golden Girls.
Yeah, okay.
Ebenezer Scrooge, A Christmas Carol.
That's classic.
Yeah.
George Wilson from Dennis the Menace.
Okay.
Grumpy Dwarf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
He was old. So
Do you know somebody actually called me a grumpy dwarf one time?
Just in passing?
one of my old producers. Moving right along. Grouchy Smurf.
Yes.
Okay.
Max Goldman from Grumpy Old Men. Oscar the Grouch. Severus Snape. He was not
He was like in his
evil.
40s.
He was.
But it's not the age. It's being curmudgeon-y.
Yeah, it's just being.
I thought like, well, I looked up the definition. The age old is in the definition.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right, whatever.
I'll find it again. But
Stanley Hudson from The Office. And Slatler and Waldorf from The Muppets? I have no idea what that is.
Nope.
Anyway, so there you go. 12 popular.
Curmudgeon, a bad-tempered person, especially an old one.
Al Bundy. Okay, so people are chiming
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh,
Al Bundy.
Red Foreman from 70 Show.
Yeah. 7742. Dan Mandis, it seems like daily. All right. Top curmudgeon, Matt Murphy. Close second, well, Dan. Let's ask Senator Marsha Blackburn, who's the bigger curmudgeon, me or Murphy? Well, they're returning his calls. Let's see here. Becky says Murphy. 5305 says, is curmudgeon like crotchety? Yeah.
Yeah.
Rick says Murphy. 4032 says Mandis 100%. Dan by far.
It's close.
Walter. Jeff Dunham's Walter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect example.
Joe Young says absolutely you, Dan. Now, here's the thing. Just because I may be a little curmudgeon, and by the way, I was a curmudgeon in my 30s. So I'm just telling you, it is a weird personality quirk / trait of mine that I've just always been like this, but I don't think I'm that bad.
You're not really crotchety about it. You're just curmudgeon-y. There's a difference.
I'm just waiting to get older, and then I'll get crotchety. I mean, listen, I'm now
off
50.
my lawn.
I'm now 57. You know what? If somebody comes onto my lawn, I'd like them to water it, please, and maybe put down some fertilizer. Anyway, no, I think that the older you get, you do get more crotchety, and but I think I've actually improved over the years, believe it or not. Like, I've improved over the last several years. Honestly. Oh, George Jefferson. Joe Biden. I don't think Joe Biden was crotchety. Well, he was, because he yelled at people.
He yelled at people a lot.
Yeah.
He was a very angry man.
He was. And he made all of us angry. Mark Levin.
Yeah.
God, Mark Levin is just, that dude is sonic curmudgeon.
Is he doing all right? I remember he tore his quad a couple months ago.
I think he's doing okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
Because that's a bad injury. Like, that takes 9 months to heal.
Yeah, he's still on the air.
Yeah.
So, and we all love Mark Levin. All right, can we talk about Caroline Levitt?
Sure, absolutely.
So she is an absolute rock star.
What?
And
What would Chris call her? She's not bad. What's the word? KGB. You're young.
Oh, I didn't hear what he said.
Like she's really great at what she does.
Well, he wouldn't call her based. That would be redundant.
No,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, she's obviously based.
Yeah.
I don't like.
There's a new word for it. Okay, well, go on.
I love her cross.
Yeah.
Like her, and I think her cross is bigger than Kayleigh McEnany's was. And she spent the entire, 45 minutes to an hour. And I really liked how she was just going back and forth with the media. I don't know if she was nervous, but she didn't seem it.
It didn't seem it at all.
It didn't seem like she was nervous at all.
Yeah.
And I liked the part where she was admonishing the media. I need some audio here. I liked how she fired the opening salvo on the media outlets in the room. Love this.
According to recent polling from Gallup, Americans' trust in mass media has fallen to a record low. Millions of Americans, especially young people, have turned from traditional television outlets and newspapers to consume their news from podcasts, blogs, social media, and other independent outlets.
In other words, she's telling the mainstream media to their face that your relevance is gone. And part of that is she is allowing now, like, podcasters and YouTubers and the like to be able to have a seat in the White House press briefing room. And I love that. And so they allowed in Axios now is one of them.
Which is crazy that they didn't let them in before.
That's crazy because Axios is great.
Well,
I read Axios.
That's why they didn't let them
they're
in.
okay, but they're lefties. But they've been around for a while. What took them so long?
I don't know if Axios, are they leftist?
Yeah.
Are they?
Oh, yeah.
I'll take your word for it. I don't, sometimes I've seen so much of it, it just, kind of.
It's all a blur now,
Yeah, it is all a blur. She had a promise, by the way, for those journalists who had their press passes revoked under Joe Biden. Do you remember that, Joan?
Yes.
Were you in D.C. when that happened?
Yeah.
Biden just came along and they were basically, they created these rules that meant that 400 members of the media lost their press pass.
And they kept on saying, oh, it's because the room is too small.
Yeah.
Not everybody can get in here. But when President Trump did it to one person,
Jim Acosta,
they went, like you were saying this morning, hair on fire over Jim Acosta.
Oh, yeah,
but
and Jim
400 others.
Jim Acosta, blowhard.
Yeah.
No?
Thank God he's no longer on CNN.
Blowhard, who doesn't have a job now.
Exactly.
He was so bitter going to midnight to 3. It's like, why do you think that happened?
It's midnight to 2.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I gave him more benefit to give him 3 hours.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, this is what Caroline Leavitt said.
This White House believes strongly in the First Amendment, so it's why our team will work diligently to restore the press passes of the 440 journalists whose passes were wrongly revoked by the previous administration.
There you go. And I think that is a great moment for Caroline Leavitt. And there was a lot of fighting. Did you notice, Joan? But she handled it in a very classy way. The part that I really liked, and I've got 1,000 audio bites on this. One of the things that I really liked is when they asked her for the 4th time, and we were trying to find the audio and we couldn't find it. But do you remember the time when during the press conference, she actually admonished them for asking the same question 4 times? It's like, you people, I've read this 4 times.
And I addressed it they had a gaggle on the plane with Trump, and she addressed it there with the same reporters, but they continue to just pound her on this question.
Well, and the thing is, it's like I spoke about yesterday, where you have, they've got either J.D. Vance or Tom Homan. Remember, we talked about this, where it's like, so do you support Donald Trump going into middle schools, ICE going into middle schools? And then the answer by both Tom Homan and J.D. Vance is yes. That's where MS-13 does their recruiting. And everybody knows that is where they do their recruiting, in the middle schools. So that's a yes. So you support it. Yeah, that's where all of the gang recruitment is. So you support this. And it's like, oh, my God, how many different times are you going to ask the same question?
Right. Yeah.
They're just. So I love that she's treating, you know what she's doing? She's treating them like the 5th graders that some of them are.
They certainly sound it.
I also like this comment.
Correcting the lies and the wrongs of the past 4 years, many of the lies that have been told to your faces in this very briefing room. I will not do that. But since you brought up Truth Seek, I would like to point out, while I vowed to provide the truth from this podium, we ask that all of you in this room hold yourselves to that same standard. We know for a fact there have been lies that have been pushed by many legacy media outlets in this country about this president, about his family, and we will not accept that. We will call you out when we feel that your reporting is wrong or there is misinformation about this White House. So, yes, I will hold myself to the truth, and I expect everyone in this room to do the same.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out.
Well, I thought that it was pretty interesting that the reason she said that is because a reporter asked her if she was going to tell the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, yes.
I think, didn't they ask that, in all fairness, didn't they ask that of Corinne Jean-Pierre as well? I don't remember if they did or not.
I think they did because the setup was, hey, Kayleigh McEnany lied so much. Are you going to lie too? I mean, that's the way they do it.
Well, you know what? She did lie. Corinne Jean-Pierre lied her way through the 2 years that she was there. And I forget, Jen Psaki, the other one.
Yeah.
And anyway, whatever. So it is 5:51 on Nashville's Morning News. I'm very excited about Caroline Leavitt. I think at 27 years old. 27.
Yeah.
That is insane. All right, got a lot more straight ahead. 5:51, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan Jones has the news coming up. Joan, what's up?
President Trump has an offer for some federal employees if they resign. We'll detail that coming up here at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
.556, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So the official poll of the day, Donald J. Trump. Congratulations to Tennessee legislators who are working hard to pass school choice this week, which I totally support. He says we will very soon be sending education back to the states where it belongs. It is our goal to bring education in the United States to the highest level, one that it has never attained before. Make America great again. So that, I think, by and large, is an endorsement of what we're doing or trying to do here in the state of Tennessee. The Education Freedom Act is apparently going to be debated in the House today, is from what I understand, or tonight. And so the question is, the Daily Dan poll question. Watch us on YouTube and take the poll. But the question specifically is...
President Trump has endorsed the Tennessee Education Freedom Act. Do you care? Yes, he's the president, or no, he should stay out of state politics.
So, and I wrote the question. The reason why I wrote it that way is because some of my Republican friends or conservative friends, they are saying that the president should stay out of state politics, which I think, listen, I like everybody's opinion. I mean, everybody's got a great opinion on this. This is one of those. This is one of those topics. This is one of those issues, the Education Freedom Act, where Republicans are just fighting. They're fighting, and I mentioned earlier today that I am for this. I like it. I like the concept of school choice. Is this the absolute right plan? I don't know, because we don't know exactly what is going to be in the end-all, be-all legislation. Once they get done with the debates and the amendments and all those kinds of things, I don't know what's going to be in it. Now, I will tell you that, by and large, I like what I've already heard. That's number one. And number two, as a conservative, I want school choice. That's what conservatives stand for. Now, there's probably going to be things in this bill that I don't like, but here's the deal. I think that if there is a state that can pull this off and pull it off well, it is the state of Tennessee. But there's going to be a lot of Republicans and a lot of conservatives who are going to absolutely hate this idea. And by the way, some conservatives that I really respect. And so that's part of the conundrum on this one is, okay, so I've got, and this always happens, where you've got conservatives that you respect on both sides of an argument. Is like people I respect hate this idea. People that I respect really like this idea. So we'll have to see what happens. By the way, you can watch us on YouTube. I don't know, Joan and KGB, if you noticed, but my background is orange. That is in honor of Donald Trump.
Aw.
That's nice of you. I bet he appreciates it.
I'm sure that he does.
It's not a volunteers orange, but it's Orange Man Orange.
It's Orange Man Orange.
Got it.
And the volunteers orange. That too. Thank you, Joan, for the reminder.
Just wanted to, put that in there.
Thanks for helping a brother out. 6 o'clock on WTN.
Good morning. It's now 6 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. And yes, 24 eastbound is a mess this morning. There's a crash downtown. The right shoulder is blocked off. It's just before Shelby Avenue, exit 49 eastbound. Stop and go traffic, though, all the way up to the split. So it's going to take you a few extra moments through that area. We've got more on that coming up in a couple of moments as well. President Trump is pushing to reduce the size of the federal bureaucracy by offering buyouts to federal employees who resign. If they accept, they'll get full pay until the end of September, but they have to accept that offer by February 6th. Now, on the floor of the Senate last night, Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia, he's a Democrat. He said he's not a fan.
Don't be fooled. He's tricked hundreds of people with that offer. If you accept that offer and resign, he'll stiff you just like he stiffed the contractors. He doesn't have any authority to do this. Do not be fooled by this guy.
Now, federal employees learned of that offer from an email they received telling them to reply with the word resign if they wish to accept. The Verge points out that echoes an email that Elon Musk sent to Twitter employees back in 2022. Well, they've advanced a school voucher bill. Now Tennessee lawmakers in a special legislative session are dealing with illegal immigration.
Channel 4 says a bill has passed the Senate Transportation Committee that creates a centralized immigration enforcement division within the Department of Safety. It penalizes or removes officials who adopt sanctuary policies and requires non-citizens be issued temporary driver's licenses instead of the standard license to help determine voter eligibility. Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Former Democrat Senator Bob Menendez will be sentenced today for taking cash, a Mercedes-Benz, and gold bars. Investigators found them stuffed into the suit pockets in his closet. The gifts came in exchange for helping 3 New Jersey businessmen and the government of Egypt. He faces more than a decade in prison when he's sentenced today. Market numbers now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management online at beaconcm.com. Here's Jim Ryan.
From ABC News, Wall Street now. Bargain hunters pushed stocks higher in Tuesday trading after Monday's sell-off spurred by worries over a cheaper AI model from China. The Nasdaq gained back 2%, the S&P nearly 1%, the Dow climbed 137 points. Tesla reports its earnings this afternoon. Shareholders have questions for CEO Elon Musk about his role in the new Trump White House. On an investor forum site, some shareholders expressed concern that Musk is spending too much time on politics, not enough on the electric car company he founded. Federal Reserve managers meet for the first time this year, and at the end of their 2-day conference, the Fed is widely expected to keep interest rates where they are. Inflation remains above the target of 2%. Egg prices are not going down anytime soon. One of the largest producers in the country has reported an outbreak of bird flu at one site. The entire flock and the eggs from that location will have to be destroyed. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
And stock futures this morning pointing up just so slightly, though. The Dow futures are up 9 points. S&P futures are up 7. We've got NASDAQ futures gaining, however, 91 points. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. It is a crash this morning, and it's on 65, make that 24. The eastbound side, just before Shelby Avenue. That crash blocks the right shoulder, but it's stop-and-go traffic all the way from the I-65 split. There's another crash reported in Whites Creek, Briley Parkway eastbound at Whites Creek Pike, exit 19. That crash reported by police. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.607 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. Hope you are doing well. Welcome on into your Wednesday, January 29th. And man, there is a lot of news going on. How much do you know about this whole DeepSeek thing? Reaction to China's DeepSeek continues. And that was part of yesterday's White House press conference with Caroline Leavitt. If you don't know what this is, China stunned the world this week with a new AI program called DeepSeek. And they say that it is better, and they built it far cheaper than any other AI program created here in America. And many people are saying that it is better than anything that we've created.
It's being called a Sputnik moment for America's AI industry. That's a reference to the panic in the U.S. when the Soviets leaped ahead in the space race in the 1950s.
Yeah, so this is one of those moments where it took literally the world by surprise, they say. This has now been downloaded, DeepSeek has now been downloaded millions of times, and it is the most downloaded app, and our own tech stocks have been literally destroyed. So does this mean that China is winning the tech race? Now, remember, we're always in a battle with China over AI. That's why Donald Trump has been so focused on wanting America to develop our own AI technology.
It could be a Sputnik moment or a shot across the bow. All of it matters because the U.S. and China are in an arms race when it comes to AI. This technological leap made by China's DeepSeek using inferior computer chips at a cost 20 to 30 times less than leading American firms really got the attention of CEOs and investors that I've spoken with today, who think this could drive more urgency among companies to innovate.
Cheaper, faster, better. And that is what is being said about China's DeepSeek. But realize all of this happened under Joe Biden's watch. Remember that Biden eliminated a program that Donald Trump had put into place to protect our intellectual property from China because Biden said that it was racist and sent the wrong message. Well, remember, and I've been reporting this to you for a long time, friends, the FBI and others have been warning that China has been stealing our AI technology for years. And Donald Trump had a program to stop it. And Joe Biden stopped that program because he said that it would be racist and it would send the wrong message. And so now we have experts that are saying that really part of this deep seek from China is our own intellectual property and AI technology that they have stolen and incorporated it into theirs. Thank you, Joe Biden. Do you know, I think the insanity of the Biden administration in the last 4 years, I think that, you know, on the scale of horrific, it's going to be paying dividends for years to come. I mean, I don't know when we'll ever really be able to recover from the 4 years of the Biden administration. I mean, listen to this headline. July 28th of 2023. Headline is, FBI warns about China theft of U.S. AI technology. They have people here in America working at various firms gathering that intel. They've been hacking into these companies as well and stealing that intellectual property. So, yeah, China has done apparently a great job of creating this AI technology. But how much of that technology was actually stolen from us? They say that China has a national plan to surpass the U.S. as the world's top AI power by 2030. But U.S. officials say much of its progress is based on stolen or otherwise acquired U.S. technology. Senior FBI official said this. This is a quote. What we're seeing is efforts across multiple vectors, across multiple industries, across multiple avenues to try to solicit and acquire U.S. technology to be able to recreate and develop and advance their AI programs. So, of course, you know, got a lot of people that are worried about, you know, the banning of TikTok because TikTok, they've got, you know, they're grabbing our data and all those kinds of things. They're spying on us. Well, this report from CBS talks about how DeepSeek is far, far more worrisome than TikTok.
But in terms of risk, a CEO I spoke with today joked DeepSeek makes TikTok look like Sesame Street, meaning the U.S. is trying to ban that social media app, TikTok, because of evidence that its owner can and will siphon up information about Americans and use it to control and shape information that they consume. So DeepSeek could do the same in the AI space.
So what has Donald Trump done in the first week and a couple of days? Well, he's got David Sachs as his AI czar. Now, David Sachs is a guy, love him or hate him, involved in Silicon Valley for years, known entrepreneur, known expert in AI, and very much pro-innovation. And see, that's the whole thing. Because in addition to allowing China to steal our intellectual property, Joe Biden also stifled innovation. And so that was also a big part of why China and these companies in China have been able to create DeepSeek for far less than American companies. I mean, we're spending, our American companies, they're spending millions and millions, tens, hundreds of millions of dollars in AI. And DeepSeek did it for, you know, a few million. And that's why people are freaking out. So what Donald Trump is doing is he is working incredibly hard to encourage innovation, deregulate our economy, deregulate businesses, encourage hiring, encourage research, encourage innovation so China doesn't kick our collective butt. Remember, was it last week? Last week, I think it was, Trump created not only the AI czar, but he also had those 3 billionaires that pledged $500 billion in a joint venture to build AI infrastructure. So Donald Trump is actively working on this. The only thing Joe Biden ever did was castigate billionaires. And Trump, by the way, he's been working on this since his first term in office when he tried to block China from stealing that intellectual property, as we just mentioned. And so Caroline Leavitt, she talked a little bit about that yesterday. She spoke about this yesterday in her first White House press briefing, and she reiterated what Donald Trump is doing right now. Details straight ahead, 6:15. Time to check the roads on WTN. Weather today, a mix of clouds and sun, a high of 60, right now 44 degrees at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So, yeah, the DeepSeek conversation was brought up yesterday during the White House press briefing.
The president said that he believes that this is a wake-up call to the American AI industry. The last administration sat on their hands and allowed China to rapidly develop this AI program. And so President Trump believes in restoring American AI dominance. And that's why he took very strong executive action this past week to sign executive orders to roll back some of the onerous regulations on the AI industry. And President Trump has also proudly appointed the first AI and crypto czar at this White House, David Sachs, whom I spoke with yesterday, very knowledgeable on this subject, and his team is here working every single day to ensure American AI dominance.
So I guess millions of people are downloading this DeepSeek. And clearly people don't care that it's from China. They just want to have the AI. So now a few headlines. The U.S. Navy has now banned its members from using DeepSeek in a warning issued by email to shipmates on Friday. The Navy said DeepSeek's AI was not to be used in any capacity due to potential security and ethical concerns associated with the model's origin, China, and usage. Meantime, DeepSeek again was at the top of Apple's App Store. Now, apparently what's going on with DeepSeek is that they've been hit with a bunch of malicious cyber attacks. Now, they're saying that those cyber attacks are coming from U.S. IP addresses. DeepSeek did not immediately respond to a request for comment from BBC News, but they do say that due to the large-scale malicious attacks on DeepSeek services, registration may be busy. A banner on the company's website said on Wednesday, final thing on this. They also say that the attacks are the second such attack on DeepSeek that they've reported this week, but they say that social media channel under China's state broadcaster CCTV is now claiming the firm has faced several cyber attacks in recent weeks, which they say have increased in intensity. So I do wonder if that is Trump and our own government going after DeepSeek and going after the folks who have created this with these malicious cyber attacks. I wouldn't mind if it was, because Trump has been all over this. And Donald Trump did say this is a wake-up call. See, part of, I think, what Trump is trying to do, Trump is all about competition, right? Donald Trump is all about competition, you know, the art of the deal, all of those things. And so when Donald Trump says, and it's true, that it is a wake-up call, that all of a sudden, apparently nobody saw this coming. Nobody saw DeepSeek coming. And this was developed under the Biden administration, and the Biden administration did leave us wide open to having our intellectual property stolen by China. Trump knew this was coming. Trump knew that it was going to happen. Trump knew that China was going to do everything and was doing everything in their power to steal our intellectual property. And what did Joe Biden do? Again, he came in, I think it was one of those day one executive orders where Joe Biden decided to drop that program that Trump had put in place to protect Americans and to protect that intellectual property. So Joe Biden, by the way, do you know who, Joan, do you know who was in charge of AI during the Biden administration?
No.
KGB, do you know who was in charge of AI during the Biden administration?
It's going to be someone, a curmudgeon, isn't it?
No. Well, sure. Kamala Harris.
Oh, I was right.
Kamala Harris was in charge of AI during the Biden administration.
Because did she have any knowledge about
That's
AI?
the thing. That's the thing. Look at all of the, I just rattled off all of the things that David Sachs is an expert at. I mean, again, Silicon Valley, expert in AI, entrepreneur. Dude knows his stuff.
Yeah.
Compare that to Kamala Harris.
So she had the border and AI to work on.
Right.
She had the border and AI to destroy. Yes,
She
as a
didn't
matter
go
of
to
fact.
Europe either.
No, she didn't. Anyway, hey, real quick. Education Freedom Act was endorsed by Donald Trump. And so our poll question is up. Watch us on YouTube. I still feel, no offense to you, KGB, and anybody else, I still feel like my video here is dark. But whatever. Maybe that's just the curmudgeon in me. But if you want to watch us on YouTube, you can. I'm done fooling with it. And you can also take our poll. And the official poll is Donald Trump has endorsed the Education Freedom Act. Do you care, yes or no? If you say yes because he's the president, if you say no, it's because he's the president and should stay out of our state politics. Now, what is how's the polling so far there, Jeff?
So it is 78% yes. He should be, as he is the president.
Okay, very good. 621, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Joan Jones has the news at 6:30. Joan.
Some really bad news for former retired General Mark Milley. He had another portrait taken down, and there's more happening in his life. We've got those.
Hey, listen.
Yeah.
The progressives love their cancel culture.
Yeah.
So apparently in the Trump administration, cancel culture, part of that is taking down one's portrait. And he's now had 2 portraits taken down.
2 of them, that's right.
Oh, what a shame.
And there's more to tell you about Mark Milley. That's coming up in the news at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. 622. Friends, if you've got a piece of property, maybe some land that you don't know what to do with, what about a pole barn from my friends at Stoltz Co.? Now, they are the premier pole barn builders in the state of Tennessee. You know that putting up a pole barn from Stoltz Co. could increase the value of your land big time, and you can use it as a garage, an event space, an equestrian building. You could just live in it. The thing is, pole barns from Stoltz Co., they are flexible. They're built really well, and they will stand the test of time. You can also, by the way, plan ahead and build your retirement home. So call these folks. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. 615-622-5992. These folks are amazing. Before you call them, why don't you do this? Go to their social media, Instagram and Facebook, and you can see what their work looks like. It is amazing. They're also on the web, World Wide Web. Their website is stoltzco.com, STOLTZCO, stoltzco.com. Again, tell them Dan told you to reach out, 615-622-5992 for Stoltz Co. 625, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Dan Mandis here for Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They are your Rude Pro partner, and they're my partner as well. I love these folks, and I've been working with them for years. Now, Busy Bee is always looking for ways to save you money, and here, very cold January, some red-hot deals. Get a free air duct cleaning with the purchase of a new, complete whole home AC, or get a free air duct cleaning package upgrade. So you buy the middle package, you're automatically upgraded to the deluxe, and they're also offering you 15% off indoor air quality products. Save money and stay warm this January with my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. I've been a Beehive member for years. I recommend it highly. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. 615-775-7833. 615-775-7833. BusyBeeHVAC.com. .629, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Appreciate you listening. I'm listening during the break to Tim Walz. Can you believe that there's with all of this stuff that's going on, all of the thousands of bad guys, illegal aliens that are being rounded up across the country, and China with, with all of the AI wars that we've got going on and all of the things that Donald Trump is doing, can you believe that Tim Walz is out there talking about Elon Musk's Nazi salute, air quote, Nazi salute? I'm telling you, these people are deranged. I've got the audio for you just for, a little comedy sake coming up next. Also, by the way, is Wednesdays with Wilson. Brian Wilson coming up at 7:06 right here on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's now 6:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Metro Police have gotten an assist in a murder investigation from a tractor-trailer driver. The truck's dashboard cam recorded a shooting that took place on I-40 earlier this month when a silver Honda Odyssey van was caught on camera pulling up next to another car. The Honda driver fires into the second car and kills the driver. 26-year-old Uriel Miller of Rutherford County was killed. Police have posted the video online. They say they want anyone with information about that van to call Crime Stoppers. Well, first, his portrait was removed from the Pentagon. Now retired General Mark Milley has been stripped of his personal security detail and his security clearance. Also, the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has directed the new acting inspector general to conduct a review board to determine if Milley should also be stripped of a star. All of this comes after Bob Woodward and Robert Costa wrote in a book that Milley called his Chinese counterpart twice in the final months of the Trump administration to assure them that the U.S. military had no plans to strike China. A warning now about a scam involving lost pets. The Nashville Humane Association has taken to social media to warn people in Middle Tennessee they're seeing more scammers targeting people who lose their animals. The scammers call. They say they have found the animal, but it was injured by a car, and it's already undergone costly surgery. It'll require a lot of money to get that pet back. The Middle Tennessee Humane Association says don't fall for it at all. Money News now. Mortgage applications for new homes and for refinances dropped again last week. In fact, mortgage rates are remaining high at just over 7% for a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. Well, stock futures this morning all pointing up just slightly, though. The Dow Jones Industrials futures are up about 13 points right now. We've got NASDAQ futures gaining. NASDAQ futures gaining 85 and the S&P futures are up 2 points. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Take a Joan, Dan Mandis here. You know, my entire life, I've dealt with the hassles of glasses and contacts. And as I've gotten older, my eyesight has been getting worse and worse. Issues driving at night, reading small print and halos around lights and so forth. It has been really frustrating. Now, I've decided that I cannot keep living like this, and that is why I'm so thankful to have found Dr. Horn and the team at Vision for Life. Now, they've helped thousands take control of their vision, and today, I'm going to be one of them. That's right. Today is my cataract surgery. After discussing lens replacement with Dr. Horn, one eye at a time, so the left eye today. After discussing lens replacement surgery with Dr. Horn and how the procedure can correct both near and far vision while eliminating cataracts for good, I knew that I had to take the leap. So again, my surgery is today. Stay tuned as I'll be sharing my journey with you every step of the way. If you're dealing with the same struggles, you owe it to yourself to check out Vision for Life and see why they were voted Nashville's best ophthalmologist. Call them today, 615-436-2020, 615-436-2020. You can always find them online. Tell them Dan told you to reach out, visionforlife.com.
Yeah, still working on that delay this morning on 24, the eastbound lanes, as right after the merge with 65. That's still pretty slow this morning. They're doing that milling and paving project again on 24 eastbound at Sam Ridley Parkway, exit 66 this morning. So they've got 2 right lanes blocked off there, and an accident on 24 eastbound as well, just past Maxey Road, exit 19. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. 6:35, Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here for the Glock store. Now, this is my gun store. It is where I train, and I need to go more often in 2025, and you do too. But right now, they've got an amazing deal going on. You know, they've got private shooting rooms and personal instructors, not multiple lanes, and some strangers shooting next to you. That's special, exciting. 2025, new year, new deal just for you. All month long, you could book a shooting session at shoot270.com. You mention my name, and you get to fire my gun. A World War II submachine gun. They call it a Sten. And yeah, it's from the World War II era. Now, I took a video, and it's on my Facebook page. It's pinned right to the top of me shooting this Sten. And it was an amazing, incredible experience. So if you want to shoot my gun, if you want to check out the World War II submachine gun that I fired, go online, shoot270.com. You mention my name, and you get to have the same experience. Now, I've gone through the incredible personal training at the Glock store. I'll never go back to the single-lane ranges again. The incredible, incomparable shoot270.com, only in Nashville and only at my place to train, the Glock store. Minutes from the airport and worth the drive from anywhere, shoot270.com. .636, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Find our podcast literally everywhere. We podcast for the most part, a lot of the show, just in different segments and so forth. Also, you can find us, the videos on YouTube and also X, 997WTN.com. Pretty much everywhere, also on Facebook, too. And you can watch all of our different local shows. It's great. Now, Tim Walz. The only reason I'm playing this, I don't want to trigger you folks, but the only reason I'm playing this is because it shows you how absolutely lost and desperate the left has become. So he is on, and he is on MSNBC, and he's talking about how he's been doing since the election.
You know, to the voters, I'm with this too. Everybody's fatigued. Trust me, I get it. It was pure hell, and the disappointment and the frustration. And I'm, soul searching. What could we have done to make the case? Because we knew this was coming. We knew that the implications. And they're throwing so much at us that we're fatigued. We spent 3 days, debating, having them trying to debate that President Musk gave a Nazi salute. Of course he did.
3 days. Can I ask who was debating for 3 days about President Musk giving a Nazi salute? I would say to Tim Walz, if you were debating whether or not President Musk gave a Nazi salute, well, that's on you. And we always knew that you were kind of brain dead anyway. So it's not really surprising that you were debating for 3 days whether or not Elon Musk gave a Nazi salute, which, by the way, he didn't.
But that is a distraction from what I think you said it. This is game on stuff right here.
It's game on stuff right here. That's what it is. It's game on stuff. Okay, well, let's then talk about stuff that actually really matters. And you know who doesn't matter? Tim Walz. You know what does matter? All of the bad guys that Donald Trump and Tom Homan are rounding up. That's what matters. Do you know what also matters? While you were out there talking about, Elon Musk's supposed Nazi salute, we were all talking about wasteful government spending. We were talking about China stealing our intellectual property. We were talking about what's been going on in America and also on the southern border. And Trump is trying to fix all that stuff. While all you're doing, Tim Walz and the Democrats, are talking about this supposed Nazi salute that Elon Musk gave. Now, deportations continue across America. It was addressed yesterday during the White House press briefing with Caroline Leavitt, and she had a lot of great things to say. First,
NBC News has learned that ICE arrested 1,179 undocumented immigrants on Sunday, but nearly half of them, 566 of the migrants, appear to have no prior criminal record besides entering the country illegally. Is the president still focused exclusively, which is a civil crime, it's not criminal?
It's a federal crime.
So I'm asking, though, he said he was going to focus on those violent offenders first. So is violent offenders no longer the predicate for these people to be deported?
All right, so remember the report that I told you about last week where Tom Homan and others have said that, you know what? If you are going to continue, he basically said this to Sanctuary Cities, Tom Homan did, that they said, if you don't allow us into your jails to get the guys that we want, then we're going to have to go out into the street and we're going to have to get them. And then there's going to be collateral arrests. Because if we find, one guy and he is, wanted for rape, or he committed rape or whatever, and then he's got a whole bunch of other illegal aliens around him, then they're going to be deported as well. And that is exactly what they're seeing. So remember that if ICE is going after violent criminals and they're hanging out with a bunch of other folks that are simply here illegally, well then, yeah, those people, and Tom Homan warned these folks that those people are going to be picked up as well. And again, they call them collateral arrests.
A senior administration official tells NBC News ICE arrested nearly 1,200 undocumented immigrants on Sunday, some wanted for assault and armed robbery, but adding only about half had prior criminal records, in addition to being in the country illegally. Do you expect collateral arrests in these operations?
Yeah, I definitely expect it to happen. I mean, we have the laws on the books and our officers are out there.
Yeah, it's a byproduct of the sanctuary city laws. If ICE has to go out into the streets to get these guys as opposed to them being turned over to ICE, well, then they're going to find other people to deport as well. Sorry. But again, that was a warning by Donald Trump and Tom Homan. Cooperate with us or more are going to be deported.
The president has said countless times on the campaign trail, I've been with him at the rallies, I know you've been there covering them too, Peter, that he is focused on launching the largest mass deportation operation in American history of illegal criminals. And if you are an individual, a foreign national, who illegally enters the United States of America, you are, by definition, a criminal. And so therefore, you are subject to deportation.
I apologize for interrupting. So to be clear, it's not violent criminals do not receive precedence in terms of the deportations taking place.
The president has also said two things can be true at the same time. Yep. We want to deport illegal criminals, illegal immigrants from this country, but the president has said that, of course, the illegal criminal drug dealers, the rapists, the murderers, the individuals who have committed heinous acts on the interior of our country and who have terrorized law-abiding American citizens, absolutely, those should be the priority of ICE, but that doesn't mean that the other illegal criminals who entered our nation's borders are off the table.
All right, so that leads to, of course, and we all have been watching these White House press briefings for years, that leads to a lot more questions, and everybody, of course, in the room just starts melting down.
Of the 3,500 arrests ICE has made so far since President Trump came back into office, can you just tell us the numbers? How many have a criminal record versus those who are just in the country illegally?
All of them, because they illegally broke our nation's laws and therefore they are criminals as far as this administration goes. I know the last administration didn't see it that way, so it's a big culture shift in our nation to view someone who breaks our immigration laws as a criminal, but that's exactly what they are.
You may have pointed one of the worst first. They all have a criminal record?
And welcome to the briefing. If they broke our nation's laws, yes, they are criminals.
All right, so they have been saying, all right, so worst is first. But it seems like the dynamic is perhaps changed a little bit. But it seems to me the only reason that's changed is because the really, really bad guys are hanging out with bad guys or people that broke our laws. Because can I just tell you that for people that are hand-wringing over, oh, gosh, the murderer was found or the rapist was found with somebody who is just in this country illegally. Well, I'm sorry, but if somebody is in this country illegally and hanging out with a rapist or a murderer, odds are that person isn't exactly an angel either, if you know what I'm saying. Now, coming up, did you see Stephen Miller's interview with Jake Tapper? Tapper throws down what seems to be, or what he is hoping, is going to be a gotcha question, and it ended up just blowing up in his face. I've got that just brilliant audio coming up next. It is 6:45. Time to check the roads on WTN. Very good. As far as your weather for today, a high of 60 degrees and right now 44 at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here. Appreciate you listening. So, yeah, this Jake Tapper interview with Stephen Miller. I know he's part of the Trump administration. I believe that he is policy advisor. And they're talking about illegal aliens and, of course, all of this kind of stuff. And so Jake Tapper throws down what he hopes is, or he believes is, a gotcha question, tying deportations of people working the crops to higher prices at the grocery stores. And Miller masterfully turns the whole thing around.
The Department of Agriculture says that between 2020 and 2022, 42% of crop workers were undocumented immigrants. And in many cases, as you know, these migrants do jobs many Americans do not want to do. So how does President Trump make sure that the effort to deport people who are not in this country legally doesn't end up hurting Americans who want safe borders, absolutely, but also don't want to see even more higher prices in groceries?
All right, so things got really testy.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's not your position, Jake. You're just asking the question that we should supply America's food with exploitative illegal alien labor. I obviously don't think that's what you're implying.
Well, I mean, if you listen to Jake Tapper's question, actually, it seems like that was his position, the way Tapper framed it. I don't know. There's no other way to say it. But I digress. They really started getting into an argument because I think that, number one, I think Tapper's question is a little intellectually dishonest.
Only 1% of alien workers in the entire country work in agriculture. The top destination for illegal aliens are large cities like New York, like Los Angeles, and small industrial towns, of course, all across the heartland, as we've seen with the Biden floods. Mm-hmm. None of those illegal aliens are doing farm work. Those 30,000 illegal aliens that Joe Biden dumped into Springfield.
I'm talking about the ones that are.
But I'm explaining this. It's important to understand.
No, you're kind of changing the subject. I mean, I'm talking about the ones.
I will give me 30 minutes. I'll go as deep as you want on this. I'm explaining to you and your audience.
Yeah, I love that. Tapper, he wants to only stick to this one little, piece of the conversation. Farm workers who, by the way, I don't believe anybody is talking about deporting. A lot of these folks are on, guest worker programs and visa programs and so forth. So Miller is talking about the guys that ICE is running around arresting right now. It's not a this or that question. These are conversations that have a lot of context and a lot of layers. And so as much as Jake Tapper, he desperately wants to stick to the, desperate migrant farm workers who evil Donald Trump and Tom Homan is going to deport. I don't even know if that's even part of the conversation right now. It's all about the bad guys in Boston and Washington, D.C. and New York, where I think that they got one of the heads of MS-13, if I'm not mistaken. That happened yesterday. So clearly, Donald Trump is not going after crop workers, obviously.
I don't want to have a third. I'm talking about the ones that work in the agriculture industry.
I'm
you can come back and we can talk about the ones in the cities, I swear.
I'll do the whole answer. The illegal aliens that Joe Biden brought into our country are not full stop doing farm work. They are not. The illegal aliens he brought in from Venezuela, from Haiti, from Nicaragua, they are not doing farm work. They're in our cities collecting welfare. As for the farmers, there is a guest worker program that President Trump supports. Over time as well, we will transition into automation, so we'll never have to have this conversation ever again. But there's no universe in which this nation is going to allow the previous president to flood our nation with millions and millions of illegal aliens who just get to stay here. And we are especially not going to allow a subset of those illegal aliens to rape and murder our citizens. So we are going to unapologetically enforce our immigration laws, and as I'm sure you will celebrate, we are going to unleash the power and might of the U.S. government to eradicate the presence of transnational threats on our soil.
I mean, I love it. And I do appreciate the fact that there's a lot of Republicans out there and conservatives who are basically saying unapologetically, this is what we're going to do. We're not going to apologize for it. The folks that need to apologize are the ones in the previous administration. Those are the people that need to apologize. It is 6:50 on Nashville's Morning News. Joan Jones has the news coming up at 7. Joan, what you got?
We'll take a look at RFK Jr.'s nomination hearings today and his family members who have come out against him from all sides. That's coming up at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. 6:50, Nashville's Morning News. Big news for my friends at DT McCall's. If you've been thinking about buying that gun safe, folks, this is going to end very soon. Right now, gun safes are sales tax free at DT McCall's. Now, they are the largest Liberty Safe dealer here in the state of Tennessee. Free delivery and setup. Other places, you know, they're going to charge you $500 at least for delivery and setup in bigger models, $300 for smaller models. But at DT McCall & Sons, they deliver every safe for free every single time, period, and no setup charge either. So check them out online. It's dtmccalls.com. Save some big bucks right now on your Liberty gun safe when you shop at your local DT McCall's. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. 5 locations across Middle Tennessee: Carthage, Cookeville, Lebanon, Lafayette, Franklin. Always online. dtmccalls.com. Coming up at 7:06, Wednesdays with Wilson. Brian Wilson joining us. By the way, follow me on X at Dan Mandis Show, and I did post this story. The visuals on this are amazing. In San Diego, I'm not exaggerating, ICE has a mile-long line of vehicles waiting for the biggest illegal alien grab in recent history. That's the headline. Thousands of ICE officers have been dispatched to the San Diego border crossing as they prepare to take, listen to this, 100,000 immigrants back to Mexico and Central America in one of the biggest migrant raids in recent times. They say that Marines have already descended on the area in an attempt to secure the crossing as President Trump ramping up his promise of cracking down on illegal immigration. They say around 1,500 active duty troops were deployed to the nearly 2,000-mile border this week, including 500 Marines from Camp Pendleton in California. So they are ready. A White House intelligence source saying this. This is a mile-long line of DHS trucks and CBP in front of Camp Pendleton right now, and they're ready to go. They're ready to do the biggest illegal immigrant grab in recent history. Now, here's what else they say. They say the West Coast is this week. So you're talking about Los Angeles and San Diego and so forth, San Francisco. The East Coast, they say, is next week. So it's about, they say, to get crazy in California. They need to fill 100,000 spots, meaning arrests are the directive. The source continuing, they're going to be taking 100,000 immigrants back to Mexico, Colombia, El Salvador, and Guatemala in this grab. So listen, people voted for it, and Donald Trump is doing his best to execute that. And here's the deal. You know, some of these local politicians, governors, mayors, city councils, whatever, they can choose not to cooperate. But as we reported to you in the previous segment, that's only going to lead to more arrests. And I love what happened with Colombia. We're talking about that yesterday, where they were like, oh, no, we're not going to take these guys back. We're not going to take these bad guys back. Trump throws the hammer down and says, oh, yeah? Would you like some tariffs with that? And with that, the president of Colombia says, oh, no, I'll send my plane. Please, no tariffs. I mean, just the absolute best. Winning all the way around. It is 7 o'clock right here on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 7 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. It is very slow on the eastbound side of 24 this morning at the Sam Ridley Parkway area. That's that milling and paving project going on, and it will be for the next few hours. We've got more on that just ahead. President Trump's nominee to be Secretary of Health and Human Services faces a Senate confirmation hearing today. But it's his own family members that are working the hardest against the nomination. ABC's Ann Flaherty.
Scathing letter that was released by Caroline Kennedy. She is Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s cousin. She says she grew up with him. She called him a predator. She said that she has known him since she was a child and that he has always been attention-seeking. He struggled with addiction. He brought other family members down that path with him.
One of RFK Jr.'s nieces also turning over emails that she allegedly exchanged with him in which he claimed Moderna's COVID vaccine had a 100% injury rate. Tennessee lawmakers hearing from East Tennessee mayors during their special legislative session yesterday as they focused on Hurricane Helene disaster relief. Here's Channel 4's Courtney Allen.
The mayor was so emotional during his testimony that he got up and walked out of the room. At least 3 of them were crying as they shared with lawmakers how Hurricane Helene wiped out their towns. Lawmakers estimate that more than 1,500 homes were damaged or destroyed. On top of that, entire high schools, hospitals, and factories also gone, leaving hundreds of people without jobs. The mayors say that it's taken a significant toll on the mental health of their communities.
Now, the building being debated is a $450 million package. Deportation raids continue in major cities today, and some in Nashville are wondering when federal agents will begin rooting out illegal alien criminals here, too. Agents are looking for young gang members as well.
Channel 4 says it spoke with Metro Nashville Public Schools officials who say they are focused on safety, privacy, and well-being of all students. And unless there is an emergency, any law enforcement activity, including immigration, would need to get permission from Metro's legal team. Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Meantime, a 14-year-old at John F. Kennedy Middle School has been arrested for making a threat of mass violence. This happened yesterday. Police say that student told other students not to come to school today. This is just the latest arrest of a student making threats in the wake of last week's shooting at Antioch High School. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Super slow on 24 eastbound at Sam Ridley Parkway, exit 66. That's that milling and paving project. 2 right lanes are blocked by it, too. And they say it's going to be out there for hours. So be advised of that. Now, Clarksville, the 24 eastbound at the Durham Road overpass. There's an accident there as well. And a crash reported in Joelton on 24 eastbound before Whites Creek, exit 35. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
7:06, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on in to your Wednesday, January 29th. Hope you are doing well. It is one of my favorite days of the week. Not only is it hump day, but it's also Wednesday, which means that we get to speak to Brian Wilson. Brian, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing very, 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 very well. I'm glad to have a moment because, I mean, I've been itching to say some things. You know, one of the things about retiring is that I didn't imagine that there would be I need to get this off my chest. I need to talk about this. And quite frankly, the dog is just really tired of hearing me rant. So
does Cabana wife do what my wife does when you start going on about politics and just start like rolling her eyes? Because that's what my wife does.
No. She's right there with me.
Okay,
Absolutely.
good. Well, so is my wife, but at some point she wants me to shut up. Anyway, so, well, there's a lot that we have to talk about, so let's get right to it. Need some audio, if I could. Let's start off with Caroline Leavitt, of course, the new White House press secretary, and holy mackerel. One of the things that I thought was really good is that she was holding the media accountable. They were asking her if she was going to tell the truth, and she's like, yeah, but what about you folks?
Correcting the lies and the wrongs of the past 4 years, many of the lies that have been told to your faces in this very briefing room. I will not do that. But since you brought up Truth Seek, I would like to point out, while I vowed to provide the truth from this podium, we ask that all of you in this room hold yourselves to that same standard. We know for a fact there have been lies that have been pushed by many legacy media outlets in this country about this president, about his family, and we will not accept that. We will call you out when we feel that your reporting is wrong or there is misinformation about this White House. So, yes, I will hold myself to the truth, and I expect everyone in this room to do the same.
You know, Brian, the thing that I like is that, and I keep going on about this, but, you know, sort of like the unapologetic, muscular conservatism, getting in your face, not going to tolerate the BS that we've seen over the past 8 years.
Yeah, she was remarkable yesterday. And, you know, 27 years old, she steps in there without a briefing book. She knows everybody's name. She knows where everybody sits. And then she turns the place upside down. First of all, when's the last time you saw the White House briefing room that crowded? The reason that it's crowded is that there's actually the potential to get news. What a concept. Because, you know, the White House briefings under Karine were just the worst. She was the worst we've ever seen. And this is an example of how everything just seems to be sort of coming alive and being energized with in the Trump orbit. And after seeing such a slothful and slow and plodding administration, to see one that comes in and does something truly remarkable. We have elected a man who has taken the oath of office, and guess what? He's doing exactly what he said he was going to do.
Yeah, and so the Democrats don't like it.
Yeah, they don't like it at all. And the Democrats are in complete disarray. I mean, one of the things I always say is, you know, when your enemy is in disarray, what do? The thing is nothing. But they're in disarray. I mean, you know, all they got is he's Hitler. And, you know, I mean, come on, that wears pretty thin over time. So, you know, the Democrats really haven't figured out what to do. They are still in complete disarray, and they're completely losing, you know, their ability to sort of understand what the last election was about. And it was about doing the things that need to be fixed and to reduce the size of government and to secure the border, which he's doing in a remarkable way.
All right, so you're talking about the Democrats being in disarray. I do want to play you a piece of audio from Tim Walz. You may have heard it earlier, but he's talking about, you mentioned how Trump is Hitler, and he's going to talk about, Tim Walz is going to talk about how Elon Musk gave the Nazi salute.
You know, to the voters, I'm with this too. Everybody's fatigued. Trust me, I get it. It was pure hell, and the disappointment and the frustration. And I'm, you know, soul searching. What could we have done to make the case? Because we knew this was coming. We knew that the implications. And they're throwing so much at us that we're fatigued. You know, we spent 3 days, you know, having them trying to debate that President Musk gave a Nazi salute. Of course he did. But that is a distraction from what I think you said it. This is game on stuff right here.
So, number one, I don't think anybody on the conservative side was arguing or debating about Elon Musk giving a Nazi salute. They tried to draw us into that argument. And I think most Republicans were like, just enough.
Yeah. I mean, it really is. Is that all you've got? Are Hitler references? You know, the old saying is when you talk about Nazis or Hitler, you've already lost the argument. And I just think people look at that and they say, no, it's not. It's simply not that. People see through this stuff. And the Democrats, I don't know who they think they're talking to, but they're not talking to the American people in a way that resonates for sure.
No, I think it's going to be a lot of fun to continue to watch their heads explode. RFK Jr., of course, he is heading in for his confirmation hearings. I thought it was interesting. I know that you know who Nicole Shanahan is. She was RFK Jr.'s running mate. And last night or yesterday, she's a billionaire, right? And she put out a video. And basically what she's saying is that she will fund primary challengers for senators that vote against RFK Jr. And she called them out by name, and she mentioned all of the ones that she suspects will be against confirming RFK Jr. I think this is going to be really interesting. I mean, this is going to be more intriguing to me than Pete Hegseth.
Hegseth, by the way, I sent him a note telling him, look, I've never seen anybody who handled that process better. And I've witnessed and have covered over the course of my journalism career, maybe as many as, maybe 100 different confirmation battles. Every time you have a new administration, you go through this. And so I've covered a bunch of them. I can't remember one that he turned around any better than Hegseth did. But the rough stuff is about to begin. We've got Tulsi Gabbard, Kash Patel, RFK Jr. These are going to be, the Democrats are looking for a trophy. I keep hearing from people who I think have a pretty good sense of it all that the one that is perhaps the one that needs to be looked at most closely and has the most difficult chance of becoming confirmed is Tulsi Gabbard, but we'll see how that plays out. The Democrats are going to play. They as things have gone so far, they have been rather mild-mannered in the way they've gone about it. But they definitely want a trophy, and one of these three, might not make it. We'll see.
Do you think that they've been mild-mannered because they understand that they got their tails handed to them, and the American people are watching?
Well, you would think so, but then they keep doing the same old stuff that they always do. I mean, they just don't have an argument. I mean, it is refreshing, I think, to most Americans to see an administration that comes in and says, you know what? We're going to do the things that we said we are going to do, and we're going to do them in very rapid order. There's so much going on. It's almost like trying to drink water out of a fire hose. If you're a reporter, you can't keep up with it. One of the ways that you get a lot of things done is just to overwhelm the system. And they came in loaded for bear. And they really have sort of overwhelmed the system. We're going to fire these people. We're going to put these people on leave. We're going to get rid of all the IG, the inspector generals. I mean, you just can't keep up with it. Every 10 minutes, there's another really big announcement. And reporters, their heads are just spinning at considering the pace that they've been used to in the previous administration.
We had some drone news yesterday. We're going to get into that coming up. It's Wednesdays with Wilson. Brian Wilson joining us. It is 7:15. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Construction delays in Smyrna. 20 closed for milling and paving. Delays from Old Hickory Book. Still 44. Clarksville, 24 eastbound at the Durham Road overpass. We've got an accident. Delays from Martin Luther King Parkway. I'm Christy O'Brien.
Weather today, a high of 60, right now 44 degrees, also a mix of clouds and sun today. Thanks for listening to Nashville's Morning News. Brian Wilson, so this is the announcement that Caroline Leavitt said right at the top, as they say.
After research and study, the drones that were flying over New Jersey in large numbers were authorized to be flown by the FAA for research and various other reasons. Many of these drones were also hobbyists, recreational, and private individuals that enjoy flying drones. In time, it got worse due to curiosity. This was not the enemy.
So I got two different ways to look at this. Number one, is, okay, so what were they researching? That's
There's a big glaring question there, isn't there?
Yeah, nobody asked the question.
Now, I can't, listen, the ability of that room to do a follow-up question is just mind-blowing. They don't have it.
Because remember, one of the things, and then I'll let you talk, but one of the things was that they were our drones, and they were looking for enemy subs. So it's just, it seemed awfully glaring. Go ahead.
Well, when they say research and that the FAA was aware of what was going on, there is something else there that we need to know about it. And the inquiring minds say, well, what kind of research? And why couldn't the Biden administration come out and say something like that and give us at least that much? There are things we're doing. Don't worry about it. It's all fine. It's us. And it seems like that's essentially what they are saying without saying it.
Right.
So, I mean, it really, honestly, am I glad that it's not the Chinese? Yeah. Am I glad that it's not the Russians or the Iranians or the North Koreans? Yeah, absolutely. But, I mean, I really do have more questions. It sounds like whatever was going on is in some level classified, and we're just never going to get the full announcement.
What do you think about this DeepSeek? Now, this really is fascinating on a number of different levels. This Chinese company comes out. Apparently, not a lot of folks were expecting this, although there has been some warning. But DeepSeek, this AI that this company in China has manufactured, it's cheaper. Apparently, it's better. And part of the conversation here, there's a number of things. Number one is that this occurred during the Biden administration. That's number one. Number two, Donald Trump was all about protecting intellectual property here in America. As you know, Brian, Joe Biden completely axed that entire program that Donald Trump was utilizing. A lot of people are talking about how China has been stealing our AI technology for years, and that what DeepSeek is, part of what DeepSeek is some of our own AI technology that they have used, incorporated into their own technology to come up with DeepSeek.
The Chinese are really bad actors in this regard. But I mean, one of the ways, though, that I've been reading about this is that DeepSeek, which is apparently quite remarkable, although in some ways maybe not quite as good as ChatGPT, but it's close. And I think it really surprised people that they were that close, given the fact that they weren't supposed to have the same chips that Americans can use to do their AI projects. But the thing that you're going to hear a lot about is a word called distillation. And mark this down. What it is basically they took their AI software and used ChatGPT to sort of test it and interact with it. And it learned from ChatGPT in a process that's called distillation. And so, I mean, apparently this is done all the time. When you come up with a robot, you test it against the others and you have it learn from the others. And apparently that's what happened in this particular case. And people were surprised that the Chinese were that far ahead. That nobody thought that they would be that close to where we are. My sense of it is we still have a slight edge, but it was a real eye-opening experience to find out what the Chinese have done.
Do you believe, quickly, do you believe that they really spent only $6-7 million on this when we were spending, billions?
I think this was completely funded by the Chinese government, and I think that's why. I don't think we're hearing the truth about all of that, and that's because they want to hide from us the fact that the Chinese government is very deeply involved in this.
All right. Wednesdays where does the time go, Brian?
I know.
All right. Well, very good.
Hey,
Thank
by
you.
the way, I'm going to be on tomorrow, 9 to noon, filling in for Chris Hand. So.
Very exciting.
I know. My first fill-in job since I retired. It'll be fun. I got a lot of stuff to say.
All right. Can't wait to hear you tomorrow morning at 9 to 12, and we'll talk then. It is 7:20 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Today is the day, cataract surgery day. Not going to lie, I'm a little nervous. However, Dr. Horn and his team, they've assured me that this is a procedure that millions of Americans go through, and it's going to be fine. Now, when I first started thinking about lens replacement to treat my cataracts, I was nervous. I had all kinds of concerns, running through my head? Was it painful? How long is the downtime? I've also heard a lot of myths like you'll still need glasses or the results aren't permanent. However, during my consultation with Dr. Horn at Vision for Life, he did take the time to answer all my questions and address the common myths. He explained that it's a quick 5-minute procedure. Most patients feel little to no discomfort. Recovery times are fast, and many people permanently achieve near perfect vision without glasses. Now, we'll see what happens with me, but what stood out to me was the personalized care. Dr. Horn tailored a plan specific to my needs and goals. He walked me through the lens options and how they could help me not just to restore my vision, but also my quality of life. Now, if you've been putting off your cataract surgery, don't call these folks today. Call my team, 615-436-2020, 615-436-2020. Find them online, visionforlife.com. 726, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here. Make 2025 the year that you get active again. Now, if you've been sidelined with chronic back, neck, and knee pain, check out my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville and Dr. Kevin Mitchell. Now, I've been a client for over 10 years. I've never felt better. Now, I arrived in Tennessee over a decade ago, and I went through spinal decompression therapy for my chronic back pain. It really did help, and it helped a lot. And every once in a while, I need an adjustment. Dr. Mitch, he does fix me right up. And right now, a great deal. The Wellness Institute of Nashville is offering the Big 47 offer in honor of our 47th President of the United States, 47% off spinal decompression therapy. So call them today at 615-246-5009. Always tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. 615-246-5009. You can always find them online anytime. Painisbad.com. It's painisbad.com. Dan Mandis here. I put my seal of approval on that deal. (727) Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you very much for listening. By the way, a couple of programming alerts. Chris Hand will be in here at 8 o'clock because I have to scurry off to the ophthalmologist and get my cataract surgery done today in my left eye. You know how weird it's going to be? I'm going to come in tomorrow. I'm going to have Joan and KGB. They actually came in yesterday. I've got a black eye patch.
Oh, really?
Oh, so Pirate Dan is debuting tomorrow.
So Pirate Dan is debuting tomorrow.
You going to make us walk the plank?
Sure. And they gave me like some nice dignified blue eye patches. I actually made Amy order me some black eye patches so that I could look like a bad A. I mean, that's...
I don't think...
It's not the eye patch that makes the bad A?
No.
Is that what you're about to say?
Yeah. I hate to say it.
Whatever. But you know how weird it's going to be? Because I still have to wear glasses. Because my right eye still needs the glasses. Because you only do one eye at a time.
Oh, so you have to wear the glasses over the patch?
So I have to wear my glasses over the eye patch.
Weird.
Apparently. How nerdy am I going to look?
I don't think it's going to be very flattering.
Good thing we have cameras.
You know what? I have a very strong prediction that tomorrow's show will set records for viewing on the cameras because I don't. You know what they told me to do is pop a lens out. You got to pop my lens out of the left one. Apparently, is what they
I wouldn't
want me
read
to do.
comments tomorrow. I wouldn't read the text line or anything.
No,
tomorrow
we'll read them for you. Don't worry.
Oh, I'm sure that you will. Anyway, got a lot more straight ahead right here on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning to you. It's now 7:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We've got 43 degrees now. We'll get some sunshine around here and 60 degrees later on today. The full forecast is coming up. Governor Bill Lee's school voucher bill appears to be on the glide path to being passed by the state legislature after it passed through two House committees yesterday. Next up for legislators is immigration. They'll consider banning sanctuary cities in Tennessee, establishing an immigrant enforcement division, and setting money aside to support federal immigration policies. This woman spoke to Channel 4. She tells them that she's been in Nashville illegally for the past 15 years.
This is one of the scariest things that I just have to think about. I have 3 sons, and one of my sons has autism. So I am just trying to figure out what is going to happen if we are going to be separate or they are going to separate from my sons.
Meantime, mass deportations nationwide continue in major cities like Chicago and New York. The Trump administration put a freeze on spending for billions of dollars in federal programs, but now a federal judge has temporarily temporarily block that freeze pending further review.
Trump's plan to halt potentially billions of dollars in federal assistance has been placed on hold. The broad directive sparked confusion even at bigger programs like Medicaid, which provides health insurance for 72 million low-income Americans. States reporting they couldn't access the Medicaid online portal, instead receiving a warning about possible payment delays due to executive orders regarding potentially unallowable grant payments.
That's ABC's Mary Bruce reporting. And finally, this morning, the more you smoke pot, the more it damages your brain. There's a new study from the Human Connectome Project. It was published in the Journal of the American Medical Association. It says that heavy cannabis use is linked with reduced brain activity in certain areas of the brain, those responsible for decision-making, memory, paying attention, and emotional processing. That's the latest news. We've got traffic and weather just ahead. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Where can you kick off the new year with big savings on gig speed? Only with my friends at Xfinity. Now through January 30th, get gig internet at home for $25 a month for 1 year when you add an unlimited mobile line, which connects you to gig speed Wi-Fi on the road. Act fast today and save more than $650 over AT&T and Verizon in your first year. Plus, hurry and take advantage because right now, you can also get a free 5G phone with trade-in. So save big and stay connected to what you love with fast gig speed internet and mobile. From home to hotspots this new year, it's all about gig speeds and big savings. Now, don't wait and get gig speed internet. Spend less green and switch to Xfinity. Go to Xfinity.com/gig savings to learn more. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment taxes and fees extra. Internet discount applied to mobile bill. $40 internet discount applied to mobile bill. After promo, regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. Savings compared to Verizon Fiber Gig Plus One Unlimited Welcome Line and AT&T Fiber Gig Plus One Unlimited Starter Line. Xfinity Internet required. Reduced speeds after 30 gigabytes of usage per line. Data thresholds and actual savings vary.
It's still a mess this morning, 24 eastbound lanes at Sam Ridley Parkway. They're doing that milling and paving project, blocking off 2 right lanes, and it's causing slow going this morning. South side eastbound 40, make that westbound 40 at the off-ramp to Hermitage Avenue, exit 212. A crash there. The off-ramp has partially been blocked. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. 7:35. Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Dan Mandis here. You know that January can be a great time to clean, purge, and become healthier. Zero Res can help you do just that. Now, they offer you a healthier way to clean your home. And using Zero Res means that they use cleaning agents that leave your carpet cleaner and healthier than those other carpet cleaning companies. Now, you know that they clean with their ZR water technology. They leave no soap, no residue, and no harsh chemicals. Zero Res is going to clean and sanitize your surfaces without the use of detergents or harsh chemicals, which does mean that, yes, your carpet does stay cleaner longer, unlike those other carpet cleaning companies. Now, I've been using Zero Res for years now. They are number one in my house. They'll be number one in yours. Now, listen, right now, they've got a great deal going on. 3 rooms of carpets cleaned for just $99. 3 rooms of carpets cleaned for $99 only. That is the Dan deal. Celebrate the new year with 25% off of upholstery cleaning. Be healthy and stay healthy in 2025 with Zero Res. Restrictions may apply. 615-535-9376. Book online, ZeroResNashville.com. 7:35, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you very much for joining us. Chris Hand is in the building, and he'll be here at 8 o'clock to do my final hours. I'm off to get my little eye surgery, but I've been looking forward to this conversation all morning long. Kyle Caldwell is joining us here on Super Talk 99.7. Kyle, you made the news. Your family made the news, and this is a stunning story where you have a 12-year-old son, and he's gotten some trouble with the authorities for reposting a warning of a school shooting. It was a warning of a school shooting. And to hear your son tell it, all he was trying to do was warn his friends and basically tell them not to go to school. And he got visited by the authorities, but it's a lot worse than that.
It is. And yes, I mean, this is a post that he, at 12 had found on Instagram. It had generated somewhere else, and he shared it on his story. Just the events that unfolded thereafter, though, were something out of a nightmare, where I had the FBI show up Thursday morning to my door. And then from there, it ensued to where my son ended up being arrested.
So your 12-year-old son was actually arrested because, and he himself wasn't threatening a school. He was reposting a warning that someone else had put together and posted. So your son's story, and it's believable to me that this is something where, I mean, you believe him, I assume, that he was just trying to warn his friends.
Well, yes, and the first thing, is there's obviously a teachable moment about technology in the modern age and the severity of these things, and it's nothing to take lightly. One thing I want to be sure of is that, I'm supportive of, heightened measures and safety within the schools, and obviously taken back by everything that's happened these last few weeks. Unfortunately, the reaction was that the FBI showed up to my son's school, and it ensued to where he ended up being interviewed by school security, the police department, and left his school, DuPont Tyler, in handcuffs.
A 12-year-old in handcuffs. Can I ask a question? And I hope you don't get offended by this, but has your kid been in trouble before? Like, has he been sort of an issue that would lead to this kind of a reaction?
No, sir. Kind of your standard 12-year-old kid. You've got to nudge him along in school every now and then. I mean, this is nothing out of the ordinary. Zero record.
Yeah. And yet they hauled him out in handcuffs.
Yes, yeah. And at this juncture, it's important to know that I didn't know this yet, that the school hadn't informed me that this was going on. I had, to this point, been told, hey, you can come get your son in a few hours. He's going to be suspended for about 5 days. Okay, so I'm going to come get my son in a few hours. I'm waiting for the call. I don't get the call. I call back, and the school counselor then informs me he's been arrested and taken to juvenile.
And you were not allowed, I'm reading this story, you were not allowed to see your son for an entire night.
Yeah, I went down, obviously, the concerned dad go down to juvenile pretty much right away. And I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I'm trying to get a grasp on this situation. I'm trying to talk to the ADA and asked if I could see him. They said some kind of guard shift change, which felt just, something.
Wow.
It just felt odd. And then
your 12-year-old son is sitting in juvie. You have not had the chance to speak to him. He has been interviewed by the FBI, and I'm assuming Metro Police as well, had school security all over him too, and they're not going to let you see him because of a shift change at juvie? That's insanity.
It is insanity. And in fact, it ended up to where I got to talk to him once. That was at 5 p.m. when he had just had his charges read to him. Granted, this is 5 p.m. that day on Thursday, and he's just now been Mirandized. And he hasn't had me there as counsel whatsoever. He's only seen, since I sent him to school, the FBI, Metro Nashville Police, the staff, at the school, juvenile, and that's it.
So no Miranda rights, and you weren't there to counsel him. And does it seem purposeful that they made sure that you weren't there?
Without being some sort of legal expert and trying to be fair, it got towards the end to where, again, I wasn't seeing him through the night. Then I'm told he has a hearing the next day at 1 p.m. I show up early, and I'm standing around juvenile trying to find who his public defender is, trying to find what's going on and when this is going to happen. Meanwhile, he's been walked into something of a pretrial diversion, and again, this is without me, to where he comes out agreeing to the charges and the probation, and he hasn't talked to his father once.
That isn't. This seems.
And I was told.
This seems like way overreaction.
Well, and overreaction, and just something out of a parallel universe, because I'm being told by the public defender, hey, can we talk to my son? Shouldn't I be involved? Parental consent, parental rights. And their answer is they don't have to. That's not the law. And he cited attorney-client privilege only between he and my son. And so towards the end of that journey, that day of the sentencing, it absolutely started to feel very much pushed in a direction. I had actually gone down. I stopped the hearing in the middle of the hearing. I'd gone down to talk to my son. I told the magistrate, I haven't talked to him yet. He's not under parental advisement. He allows it. I go down and I talk to my son, and he begins to understand kind of like both sides of this thing, what it is to accept these charges and not. And he's actually less adamant about accepting this pretrial diversion, right or wrong there, right? I leave. I'm back out of his presence. He comes back into the courtroom, and he's been counseled again without me and accepts the pretrial diversion.
So your son is 12. By the way, so Tennessee, there are laws now that consider threats of mass violence on school property as a Class C felony, which they say could result in 1 to 6 years imprisonment, fines up to $3,000. They say this law applies regardless of whether the threat was credible or not, highlighting a zero-tolerance policy towards such threats. But have you, I'm assuming you've seen your son's post on TikTok.
I saw the kind of the source material, yes. I was told by this FBI agent that I was going to be able to review my son's phone with him, and that never happened, and it's been basically confiscated. I do not have it anymore. I wasn't allowed to do any of that parental research, but was it
clear? Let me ask you this, Kyle Caldwell. Was it clear that it was not a threat? Was it clear that he is just like, hey, heads up, might want to, keep your head on a swivel?
It's 100% clear he wasn't the source, and also that it was informative. As misdirected as it could have been, it would have been a parentable moment, but again, no, he did not make a threat.
There's so many issues here. Kyle, hold on one sec. I got to check the traffic. I got a couple more questions for you. Kyle Caldwell is joining us. His 12-year-old son spent some time in juvie because the authorities say that he I don't know. Kyle, are they saying that he made a threat? Hold on. Kyle, hold on. I got so many questions. Got to check the roads real quick on WTN. .745 on WTN. And Kyle, I got to ask you, do the people that you're dealing with, the judge and the the attorneys, all these folks involved, do they understand that he was not threatening the school? Like, does everybody at least acknowledge that, or do they?
No.
Is it their contention that he was threatening the school?
they leveled him with the charge of threat of mass violence, and then that was what the pretrial diversion was going to put him on probation, 6 months deferred for. So when I asked this question that you're asking, it just seemed very quickly dismissed that there wasn't a lot of concern about what it is or was at that point, that we were on this pathway.
So this was this after Antioch High School shooting?
Yes, sir. I believe their actions were the day thereafter on Thursday.
So this is because there were several threats that were called against I think several schools on that day. So I think that they were probably obviously, and for good reason, on heightened alert.
Absolutely.
So
yeah,
I guess now where does this whole thing stand? Number one, how's your son handling all this? And number two, there's issues here. Like, for one, at least it seems like this is a gross overreaction, although, granted, I have not seen the post. But if you say, I'm taking you at your word, that it was informative in nature and that your son himself was not actually making the threat, but that they also didn't allow his father to consult a 12-year-old who is dealing with all of this swirling around him. You got the FBI, you've got Metro Police, and you've got school security as well. I mean, and then they has to spend the night in juvie hall, and he never gets to really speak with you or be consulted by his father. That is insanity to me.
It's insanity. And again, you mentioned Metro Nashville Police and their actions, and it's good that they are, and I agree with that. But here's the story. You have a 12-year-old, like you said, that was on Mirandized, no parental consent, did not understand the charges that were being leveled on him, was not a source of a threat. And, having to spend overnight in juvenile and be fully cut off is very traumatic for a 12-year-old kid, let alone an adult father. We have to engage in some healing. It's very traumatic. And you're looking over your shoulder now because, again, the proper reaction wouldn't have a 12-year-old who didn't make a threat leveled with such heavy charges and surrounded by adults he doesn't know the whole time leading to that.
Yeah. So how is he doing now? Like I'm now concerned about your son's just well-being. I mean, is he okay?
Yes, sir. I mean, he is safe and he's at home. Obviously, the school has expelled him, and there's all of that ahead of us with the school board, et cetera. It's been confusing, but he has 5 siblings at home, and we've just surrounded him and done our thing the best we can while trying to navigate this. And we're inching forward, but it's just your stomach has been in knots is essentially the reality, and that's been for all of us, especially him.
Are you considering any lawsuits? It sounds to me like you need to call the ACLU, and I'm the last guy to ever talk about calling the ACLU, but it just sounds like some rights were definitely violated here.
It absolutely does, and I think there's more to come on that. I have been speaking with people and just honestly trying to gather all I can about the law and understand what has just happened here in Nashville recently, legally and politically, to make this happen. And so there's more to come, but, I like to do things under advisement and intelligently and for the best. This is for my son, so for his best interest. Yes, sir. So I do plan on being taken under advisement and at least being told what my options are.
So I guess the next question is, okay, so your son's 12 and he has had this terrible experience. Now it's up to you as a father to, give this some perspective and, make sure that he comes out of this okay. I don't know if he would need therapy or not, but what does he do next? Does he go back to DuPont? You said that he's been expelled. So what's next for him from a schooling standpoint?
Well, that's, they would have him go to an alternative school. But obviously, I would explore options that are more home-based. That's, having gone through juvenile and then having to go to an alternative school, that's just a horrible pathway for what has happened. And I think we're going to research the homeschool end and just move forward. I mean, counseling is involved in it. Absolutely. The kid was in tears multiple times and has been since. As being overwhelmed with such an experience would put you in that position, right? But he's going to be, for me is make sure he's good. We continue his education and make sure that he's happy and healthy moving forward. But this is still kind of unfolding for us, the experience, and so I don't know everything it's going to hold either.
Yeah, I wonder if there's some sort of a loophole here that would lead to your son being charged like this. If you're saying that it is clear that this was an informational post and it was not an actual threat, sometimes no policy, or I should say zero tolerance policies, they can go overboard. And I don't know if that's what happened here. I don't know what the FBI is thinking, or, Metro Nashville and all of these charges. I don't know what the justification is for the charges. If it is under this zero tolerance policy, even if it's clear that this is just an informational post, then I think maybe there's some sort of an adjustment perhaps that needs to be made in this zero tolerance policy, because this, Kyle, I'm just telling you, this just sounds insane. So
it's insane, and and you're right. There's already adjustments that are being put on the floor to this law, and on top of that, there's multiple lawsuits throughout Tennessee pertaining to the same kind of scenario. So this zero tolerance law, from what I have been told, my understanding, is kind of this carte blanche for this to happen, and doesn't play common sense or parental consent. So when you talk about the adjustments, you've got, I believe, Representative Sparks that has HB 0720 that they're trying to get on the floor, and this would prohibit what happened to my son.
Okay, Congressman, State Rep Mike Sparks. Mike Sparks.
Yes,
okay,
yes,
good. I like him, and maybe I'll get in touch with him, and we can talk to him about all of this tomorrow here on Nashville's Morning News. Kyle, I'm going to pray for you and your family and your son. I think, what I'm hearing here just seems downright bizarre and an overreaction. So prayers to you and prayers for your son. Will you keep me posted on how you guys are doing? And I'm going to reach out to Mike Sparks at some point today. But will you keep us updated on how you guys are doing?
Absolutely, and I appreciate your time this morning, sir. I'll keep you guys in the loop for sure.
All right, Kyle, thank you very much. That is Kyle Caldwell, and what a crazy story.
That's unbelievable.
And look, I'm the biggest supporter of law enforcement you'll ever find. This just from the overreaction, which it seems to me, the overreaction to the post, I understand zero tolerance, but the overreaction to the post, not allowing parental consent, it just seems like this whole thing is blown way out of proportion. And then this kid who, by and large, seems to be a good kid, had to spend the night in juvie? I mean, that's just, I don't know.
Imagine what that's done to his own psyche, what he feels about himself now.
Yes, that's exactly right. I mean, you don't want people growing up with an anger and a resentment against the police. You certainly don't. And so I guess it's up to him as a father to put this in some sort of perspective where you have a respect and appreciation for the police. But I think there's going to be a lot of repair work that needs to be done here for this 12-year-old boy.
The mama bear has come out of me listening to this guy, and I have to say, I'd be all over a lawsuit and finding out what my rights are, what that kid's rights are that they denied him.
Yeah. No Miranda. They didn't give him the Miranda until, I think, what did he say? A little bit later on. You're supposed to do the Miranda before the questioning, not after the questioning.
Right.
I mean, I go on and on.
Yeah. That's a crazy story, and somebody's going to have to be rethinking how they work things around the schools.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, I've come to realize over the years on WTN that a lot of people listen to this radio station.
Yes, they do.
So I think that this this is not the end of the story. This is actually probably just the beginning, and I'll get in touch with Mike Sparks and maybe some other folks as well. 7:56 on Nashville's Morning News. Make sure, if we could, KGB, that gets podcast as well. 7:56 on Nashville's Morning News. You know, I always recommend Mark Spain Real Estate here in Nashville because I do trust that they're going to sell your home hassle-free with a really strong all-cash offer. Now, they've been helping homeowners sell their homes for nearly 30 years now, and they've served over 58,000 families. And with all those clients, Mark Spain Real Estate is the #1 most reviewed real estate company in America. They've got over 12,500 five-star reviews. Now, you can trust my friends at Mark Spain Real Estate to sell your home fast and for maximum profit and the least amount of hassle. That is the guaranteed offer. There's a reason they've had so much success at Mark Spain Real Estate. It is that guaranteed offer, a quick sale, maximum profit, limited hassle as well. Get a guaranteed offer on your home today, 855-299-SOLD, 855-299-SOLD, online anytime at markspain.com and start packing.
Good morning to you. It's 8 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. It's still that maybe a million paving project this morning. It's on 24, the eastbound lanes at Sam Ridley Parkway, and it's causing a big delay this morning. It's going to be that way for a few more hours, so we'll have to work our way around it this morning and pack some extra patience. President Trump is pushing to reduce the size of the federal bureaucracy by demanding that federal workers go back to the office full time or accept a resignation and a buyout. If they do accept that, they'll get full pay until the end of September, but they have to accept the offer by February 6th. Now, on the Senate floor last night, Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia, he's a Democrat, said he is not a fan.
Don't be fooled. He's tricked hundreds of people with that offer. If you accept that offer and resign, he'll stiff you just like he stiffed the contractors. He doesn't have any authority to do this. Do not be fooled by this guy.
Fed employees learned of that offer from an email they received telling them to reply with the word resign if they did wish to accept. Now, The Verge points out that echoes an email that Elon Musk sent to Twitter employees in 2022. Well, they have advanced a school voucher bill, and now Tennessee lawmakers in a special legislative session are dealing now with illegal immigration.
Channel 4 says a bill has passed the Senate Transportation Committee that creates a centralized immigration enforcement division within the Department of Safety. It penalizes or removes officials who adopt sanctuary policies and requires non-citizens be issued temporary driver's licenses instead of the standard license to help determine voter eligibility. Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Nashville police believe they may have a serial robber on their hands. They say the victims are all females. They've all described the same man driving a particular Nissan Maxima. Now, the first robbery happened in early January, a woman being robbed at gunpoint at Sylvan Park. In the second robbery, a woman led a man into a shared laundry room where he robbed her as well. Channel 4's Dryden Quigley picks it up from there.
The third happened on January 9th at the Nolensville Pike Aldi when a woman was loading up her groceries. The suspect took her jacket with her license, phone, and keys.
I'll go home and tell my wife right now. She'll spread it through the text chain in the neighborhood, and yeah, we'll all be watching.
Neighbors say they won't be wearing headphones while walking, stay in pairs, and keep their eyes peeled for the car.
I've got pepper spray. I always have a friend with me if I'm walking, basically anywhere for long periods of time. And I always have a friend or a loved one who knows where I am at all times, because you just never know.
Now, you never know. Anybody with information has asked to call Crime Stoppers. Market Numbers now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Dow futures minus 87 now. NASDAQ futures are plus 2.5, and the S&P 500 index futures, they're down 15. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Got a problem this morning on the 24 eastbound lanes at Sam Ridley Parkway. That's that milling and paving project with 2 right lanes blocked and a big delay behind it. Also this morning, blocked in Spring Hill. It's Beechcroft Road between Town Center Parkway and Maury Hill Street. It is blocked there. Not sure if it's a crash. We're checking on that with police right now as we speak. In Nashville, Elm Hill Pike at Lenny Boswell Road. That's a crash scene as well. And 40 westbound at Briley Parkway East, exit 215, right out at the airport. There is a crash as well. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.807 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand filling in for Dan Mandis, who is on his way to the doctor's office right now with his wife, Amy, to get his eyes fixed. Good for him, man.
One eye. It's one eye today, but still.
He's going with the left eye. That's where we're starting. It's just a start. Dan, good luck on your surgery, man.
Oh, yeah.
We wish you a speedy recovery. I'm not usually on this early with you guys, so my kids are actually en route to school. So I just want to say, have a great day at school, guys. Kennedy and Brooks, they do a homeschool hybrid, so this is their in-classroom day. So have a great day at school, guys. And Virginia, if you're listening, that's probably about as far as we can get in the show with the kids. that's probably...
They're already not listening.
That's probably it. And hi, Bishop and Millie, who are also in the car. Love you guys.
Hi, guys. We'll take care of Dad. Don't you worry.
Have the best day. Yeah, I'm in good hands. We got KGB producing. We got Joan Jones in the newsroom. And a story that won't be discussed in 3 days. You ready for the story that won't be discussed in 3 days? Scott Bessent, a guy showed up in D.C. to kill him.
Oh.
And you may be thinking, who is Scott Bessent? And yeah, you would wonder. He's
the new Treasury Secretary,
The new
right?
Treasury Secretary. Yeah. A man was arrested at the Capitol on Monday with Molotov cocktails and knives, and he told authorities that he was there to kill Scott Bessent. Which I just wonder, why? Has there ever been another U.S. Treasury Secretary who had his life threatened before? I mean, I'm sure you can find examples if you dig back far enough, but it just is madness, and it goes back to the just unhinged nature of the American mainstream media and how they are radicalizing these leftist supporters. According to the affidavit, the man by the name of Ryan Michael English approached a Capitol Police officer on Monday at around 3 o'clock near the south door of the U.S. Capitol and said, "I'd like to turn myself in." English revealed to the officer that he was in possession of multiple knives and 2 Molotov cocktails. He was detained and searched, and the search uncovered a folding knife in his pants pockets, as well as 2 destructive devices inside his pockets of the jacket that he was wearing. And there were 50-milliliter bottles of vodka with cloth attached to the top. A lighter was also recovered. So this unhinged lunatic goes to D.C. He wants to kill Scott Bessent. And again, I just have a hard time figuring out why. Who wants to kill Scott Bessent? I don't know if you paid attention to any of his Treasury hearings, but he's not exactly the most radical guy in the world. He actually just makes a lot of sense. And I mean, most of his hearing, his confirmation hearing, they spent talking about tariffs.
I believe these tariffs, you can call it whatever you want in terms of trying to gussy it up, they're going to be paid for by our workers and small businesses. And all through the campaign, we heard they weren't, that foreign countries were going to pay it. I think that's baloney. It's going to be paid for by workers and small businesses. So, your response?
Yes, Senator, I would respectfully disagree.
Oh my gosh, what a lunatic. We got to get rid of that guy. Like, is that what the leftists think? That this guy, he is so evil. He's aligned himself with Orange Man, so he has to be eliminated. I'm sure that this guy that turned himself in is not the only unhinged leftist out there who has been driven to the point of madness by the mainstream media. But Scott Bessent, that's who you're targeting? This guy?
And the history of tariffs and tariff theory, optimal tariff theory, does not support what you're saying. Traditionally, we see that the current, if we were to say use a number that has been thrown around in the press of 10%, then traditionally the currency appreciates by 4%. So the 10% is not passed through. Then we have various elasticities, consumer preferences may change. And finally, foreign manufacturers, especially China, which is trying to export their way out of their current economic malaise, they will continue cutting prices to maintain market share.
So you can only assume that after hearing this radical testimony during the confirmation hearing by Scott Bessent, that Ryan English was just foaming at the mouth, absolutely foaming at the mouth, and needed to eliminate Scott Bessent. Now, again, I think maybe Scott Bessent was the target because he was, easy to go after. And the guy did turn himself in, so it didn't get as far as it could have. But it just illustrates the point that the mainstream media is driving people insane. They said he was intent on killing Scott Bessent, Pete Hegseth, and Mike Johnson. And again, he's now in custody. But this is just one of the wildest stories and another example of how the mainstream media is driving people insane.
Secretary Scott Bessent, just confirmed yesterday, was the target today of a threat at the Capitol. A man with a Molotov cocktail and a knife, the suspect from Massachusetts, reportedly telling police that he was in D.C. to kill the secretary, again, who has only been on the job officially for 24 hours now.
I mean, the fact that he's from Massachusetts, that kind of tracks, not going to lie. People in Massachusetts are a bit unhinged.
Coming from a Boston native.
I'm just letting you know. I know from experience. Unhinged, to put it lightly. That tracks. But it's past time to stop this stuff. It's past time for the mainstream media to get their act together. Stop calling people Nazis. You're driving people insane, and somebody is going to get hurt. Someone innocent is going to get hurt. And this is after we saw what happened over the summer with the assassination attempts against Donald Trump. They said they were going to cool down the rhetoric, yet here we are almost in February of 2025, and there are still threats. And I would imagine that there are a lot more threats we don't hear about on the daily. And, again, maybe Scott Bessent they thought was an easy target. Maybe they really wanted to go after they said Pete Hegseth or Mike Johnson, or maybe they want to go after someone like Elon Musk, but they can't get to him. But the rhetoric has to stop, and the rhetoric just continues and continues to escalate. I mean, I was listening on the way in. You guys were playing the Tim Waltz audio. Tim Waltz calling Elon a Nazi. It's like, Tim, you did the exact same hand gesture while you were on the campaign trail, and nobody said you were a Nazi because nobody believes you're a Nazi. And nobody believes Elon Musk is a Nazi either. That didn't stop Tim Waltz from saying that on, what was this, the Rachel Madcow show?
We spent 3 days, debating, having them trying to debate that President Musk gave a Nazi salute.
Oh, President Musk. It's like, buddy, that was like 4 narratives ago. Have you not gotten your updated talking points from the Democrat establishment? Have you? You haven't gotten that yet? I mean, you've probably been taking a break. But this is just another example of how they've been going after Elon. Elon's mom actually wants Elon to sue quite a few people for their rhetoric against him and the slander calling him a Nazi. We'll cover that after we check the roads. Right now, no commercials on Super Talk. Thank you, Christy. 8:15 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan usually gives a temperature check right about now, and I didn't check the temperature, so it's probably cold. It's probably cold. Let's go.
Actually,
with
like a scorcher compared to like last week.
What we got?
I think we're still in the 40s. We're at 47 degrees.
Oh man,
get the bathing suits out.
It's a day for tanning. That's what I would say. Elon Musk's mom is quite upset. She says on Twitter last night, "I've been receiving so much hatred because of the CNN panel with the journalist Krampel yelling about Nazi salutes. Elon Musk, please sue them. Thank you, Scott Jennings, for trying to intervene with the truth." Do you remember that panel where they were just absolutely unhinged? Catherine Rampel is the name of the journalist. Scott Jennings was like, "You keep calling Elon a Nazi, and he's not a Nazi, yet you continue to call him a Nazi."
Look, the first time that Elon Musk decides to declare that globalist Jews are responsible for the great replacement of brown people into the United States, maybe it was a misunderstanding. The second time he said that Jews are pushing hatred against white people, that's a quote, that was a little iffy. By the second Sieg Heil, I think he kind of loses the benefit of the doubt to be not accused of playing footsie with these Nazis. I'm not saying he's a Nazi. I'm saying the Nazis think he's a Nazi, which they very clearly did at this event. And these words were not said in a vacuum. As you pointed out, the leaders of AfD have embraced, in many cases, the Nazi heritage. They have wanted to take down the Holocaust Memorial in Berlin, saying
That's Elon's fault, too.
it is inappropriate to recognize this horrific chapter in German history. And I just think it's horrific. I don't understand why this guy keeps getting the benefit of the doubt, whether or not he believes this stuff personally.
You didn't even mention the Nazi jokes he was making on Twitter. That actually got
he's been given
ADL
so
to
many
say
chances
something about it.
Yeah.
I was hearing a lot of sighing. Scott, what's the deal?
I mean, we've moved on from Trump derangement syndrome to Elon derangement syndrome.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want to defend his saying
the
Germans get to...
Let me let him finish, Catherine.
I love this game we play where you talk for 2 minutes, I talk for 3 seconds,
ahead,
and you
Scott.
freak out. So he has a long record of supporting the Jewish people, number one. Number two, anybody who is asserting this thing he did on the stage the other day was a Sieg Heil, which I just heard you say, lawyer up maybe, because absolute ridiculous.
Yeah, lawyer up maybe. And now Elon Musk is calling for Elon to sue quite a few people. Elon actually himself on Twitter, somebody sent him a tweet and they said, Elon Musk, I think it's time to sue Tim Waltz and Rachel Maddow. The Nazi hoax has gone on long enough. Elon says, good idea. It does look like we may see some lawsuits out of this, and I think good. It's about time. If these people are going to push this kind of narrative and put people in danger, like guys that are just harmless. Scott Bessent, if somebody wants to go to the Capitol to kill Scott Bessent, it's got to stop, all right? We've seen this rhetoric ratchet up far too many times. I hope Elon does sue them. I hope he does. But when Scott Jennings says to the journalist Catherine Rampel, you better lawyer up, she just goes on another unhinged tirade.
Thing to say. Under no circumstances.
The Nazis in Germany thought it was a Sieg Heil.
Under no
The Nazis in Germany thought it was a Sieg Heil.
Was he doing anything other than expressing enthusiastically?
Why don't you do it on TV right now?
His appreciation.
Why don't you do it on TV right now if you think it's so...
Number three.
Banal.
Number three. I think it is fully appropriate, and I, of course, have been the strongest supporter of the Jewish people on this network for over a year, since October the 7th.
Is that true?
To remember the Holocaust and to remember the atrocities committed against the Jewish people. And I also think it's appropriate to remember the atrocities committed against them right now. And it seems to me, let me just finish my point.
No,
it seems to me...
I won't let you change the subject.
It seems to me...
Let's address what we're talking about.
I'm trying to finish my point.
As the Jew at this table...
I'm trying to finish my point.
I would say...
The people who are most concerned about, and most all over Elon Musk today, have had nary a word for the Nazis on college campuses who've gone crazy for the last year and a half.
That is bull. That is bull.
I don't know. I never heard journalist Catherine Rampel being upset about the Nazis on college campuses. This is just what we get. I'm the Jew at the table, okay, guys? You have to listen to me no matter what. KGB, you're Jewish.
I am.
Elon Musk, Nazi, not a Nazi.
Not a Nazi.
Listen, anybody with their head on straight understands that he's not a Nazi.
It's just ridiculous. We're when she's saying Sikh Heil and all this other nonsense, it normalizes it, and I don't like that we're normalizing what happened all those years ago when actual Nazis were in the world.
And it also desensitizes people to it.
100%.
You know, I heard Dan and Wilson, they said, as soon as you go to you're a Nazi, you've already lost the argument.
It's 100% true.
You've already lost it. And it's just, what you're doing, though, is you're ginning up the rabid elements of your base. And like we saw with the guy at the Capitol yesterday who wanted to kill Scott Bessent, we might see this again. There might be a rabid, foaming at the mouth leftist who thinks that taking out a Nazi is the right thing to do, you know? And you're going to see this lead to more violence. And I pray it doesn't go that way. But until these idiots over at the mainstream media get this obsession of the derangement syndrome under control, we're going to see more threats. We're going to see more attempts. And I pray none are successful. But I feel like until one is, they're probably not going to stop. Until they're held accountable, nothing is going to change. And they've displayed that time and time again. I hope Elon sues the pants off of them. It's 8:22 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Tennessee lawmakers tackle illegal immigration today, and a former U.S. senator is facing a decade in prison. He'll be sentenced for accepting bribes today. Those stories coming up at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 8:28 on Nashville's Morning News. Chris Hand in for Dan Mandis, who is off to the doctor to get at least one of the two eyes fixed. We wish him the best of luck as he goes through surgery. That's got to be tough because you got to have your eyes open.
Oh, yeah. I actually had surgery myself. Not cataracts, obviously, but I had like a cornea issue. And so they would put drops in your eye, and they had to scrape the surface of my eye to fix it.
Is it like that movie where you have like the metal thing holding your eyes open so they don't close?
Yes. And I remember like the first one I had on my left eye was no problem. I guess that she did a great job. Then the second one, I started to feel a bit more. I don't think they numbed me enough. And I started to obviously have my legs kicked just a little bit. And she goes, "Are you okay?" And in my head, I'm like, "No, I see a blade going in my eye. I am not okay."
I can't even talk about those things. Like, I get creeped out.
It's insane. I almost lost one of my eyes one time.
Really?
How?
Yeah, I got it stuck in a car antenna.
Ah!
Oh my gosh!
I'll tell you that story in the 8:35. But a quick programming note. Today on the show at 9:35, my friend Monica Page, she got approved to be in the White House press briefing room. She is a Frontlines Turning Point USA reporter. She's going to be in every White House press briefing, so we're going to talk to her at 9:35 and see what that was like. I feel like I have more questions for her aside from what Carolyn Levitt said, just about the process. So that's going to be a fun conversation in about an hour. And then at 10:05 today, Sarah Maccabee joins the show. She has joined the show numerous times to tell the tale of her husband, Ronald Colton Maccabee, who is a J6 political prisoner. This time, she's bringing Ronald with her. So it's going to be an awesome conversation at 10:05. Make sure you're here and hanging out with us. We'll have it all podcasted as well in case you want to share it with a friend or if you miss it. And a lot more to cover, including how I almost lost my eye, coming up at 8:35. Right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's now 8:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. There are some trouble spots on the roads this morning. It's blocked in Spring Hill on Beechcroft Road between Town Center Parkway and Maury Hill. And they're saying that it could be up to 2 hours. So be careful. We're not really sure what's happening there. Also, on the eastbound lanes of 24 at Sam Ridley Parkway, they're working on the roadway there. That's a long-term project. It's going to stretch for the next few hours. Make some plans to get around that one. We've got more of that coming up along with weather in just a couple of moments. Now, with school vouchers on the brink of passage, Tennessee lawmakers are turning attention now to illegal immigration. During their special session today, they'll consider bills that would ban sanctuary cities in Tennessee, establish an immigration enforcement division, and set money aside to support federal immigration policies. And as deportation raids continue across the country, Channel 4's Joylyn Bukovac says Nashville illegal immigrants are worried that they are next.
Metro Schools is reassuring parents and says that they do not track students' immigration status, but some undocumented families are still on edge, and they find this unfair since they have paid into federal and state taxes. Multiple committees will be talking about this proposal today.
And they're working already this morning. The House Immigration Committee convened already early this morning. Former Democrat Senator Bob Menendez will be sentenced today for taking cash, a Mercedes-Benz, and gold bars. Investigators found those stuffed in his suit pockets in his closet. The gifts came in exchange for helping 3 New Jersey businessmen and the government of Egypt. He faces more than a decade in prison. Retired General Mark Milley's personal security detail has been removed and his security clearance revoked on an order from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. And now his military rank may also be reduced.
The White House insists President Trump is not retaliating against retired General Mark Milley for speaking out against him. Press Secretary Caroline Levitt.
He doesn't think that taxpayers should be funding security for bureaucrats and for others who have served in our government for the rest of their lives.
President Trump has been very critical of Milley over the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, even accusing him of treason. Milley last year told journalist Bob Woodward that Mr. Trump was, quote, fascist to the core. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Still blocked off this morning in Spring Hill. This is Beechcroft Row between Town Center Parkway and Murray Hill Street. It's for up to 2 hours. Now, we're not really sure what's going on there. Also in Smyrna, eastbound 24 at Sam Ridley Parkway. They're doing work on the roadway, and they've got 2 right lanes blocked off. That's causing quite a delay this morning. Nashville, a crash at Elm Hill Pike and Lanny Boswell Road. And also in Bellevue, a crash Old Hickory Boulevard at Bellevue Road. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.836 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's Chris Hand in for Dan Mandis, who's getting a bit of eye surgery. It's time for what we call the cross, except, I guess the only difference is KGB will be leaving at 9.
Yeah, yeah. Mason's taking over for me.
That's it. So Dan is getting his eye surgery today, and we wish him the best of luck. And it reminded me of a story. I almost lost my eye once.
Yeah, this sounds crazy.
So, all right. So I don't know if this is going to come as a shock to anybody, but I wasn't the biggest fan of high school. So,
Shocker.
I know.
Yeah.
So one day I decided to leave 10 minutes early. And as I'm leaving early, I get to my car, which was a 1993 Toyota Corolla. So it's in the student parking lot. And if you remember the Toyota Corollas, they had the antenna over the driver's side door.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So I threw my backpack over my driver's side seat into the back, and as I turned my head quick, that antenna went directly into my left eye. And it happened quick, but it felt like an eternity.
Yeah.
And I remember standing there for a second with it impaled, going, what do I do? What do I do? And I made a judgment call.
Oh,
I said,
no.
I can wait for help. But then the entire school's going to be out there.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a bit worse. So I counted to 3.
No, I can't even listen.
And I went, and just ripped my head back. It was bad.
Blood, I'm assuming, was involved.
There was a lot of blood. Luckily, I just scraped my eye, and it kind of went more through, like, the side.
So it's like in the lid almost? That's where the blood came from?
It was like right in here if you're watching on Super Talk TV.
Yeah, no, I'm not looking.
No.
Won't do it.
In this area. Here, zoom in.
No.
Right here. But I had this gross, bloody eye for like 2 months.
Did you go to the doctor and all?
Yeah, we went to the doctor.
Okay.
We went to the doctor. He said his analysis was, you got lucky.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Thanks. He goes, if it was just a little bit the other way, we would have lost that eye.
Oh, my God. So is it like,
I'm
how's your
fine.
eyesight? The eyesight didn't change?
I'm good.
Wow.
I'm good.
That reminds me of like Final Destination stuff. You know what I mean? That's just like a happenstance, a fluke thing.
That's my eye story. Anybody else got an eye story?
I mean, the only one I have is looking at a scalpel in front of my eye.
I don't know. I'd rather take the antenna.
No. Well, I guess it's each their own, I guess. But mine was not fun.
Watching it happen slowly, like at least mine was quick.
Mm-hmm. Mine wasn't. Mine was like 30 to 40 minutes.
Yeah, no, I can't do that.
So my mom had macular degeneration and glaucoma. I'm not sure which one they do this for, but she had to take shots in her eye, like while she was awake. Shots in the eye, and and she's 85 for heaven's sake.
Jeez.
Yeah, I don't know how she did it. She's a brave woman.
This is the least fun cross we've ever done.
Yeah,
I don't like needles in general. I don't know if I could. I don't want one in the arm, let alone the eyeball.
So I had Accutane as a kid, like that, just like the acne medicine. Yeah, and so every month I had to go get my blood taken because someone committed suicide while taking it. So they're like, "Oh, that was the reason." Obviously, like they just were precautious. So I had to take it. Now I got so used to it, I can look at it going in now. I got no issues with it.
Not a fan.
But with the eyes, I can't handle the eyes.
No. Well, anyway, Dan, if you're listening, good luck.
Have fun, buddy.
We're rooting for you as Dan goes in to get his eye surgery. He'll be back, though.
Yeah, he's going to be One-Eye Danny tomorrow. I already have a title for the episode and everything.
Do you?
Yeah. One-Eye Danny.
I thought about bringing in a pirate hat.
Yeah, I love that idea.
I'm off tomorrow. So one of you guys are tasked with finding a pirate hat.
All right,
for Dan.
so
we'll figure something out.
You think he's still listening?
I don't want to spoil it.
Okay, we have a surprise tomorrow too.
Well, he's going to the doctor's office that advertises with us, so I would assume
Andy
that
might blab.
I would assume that they have it in. You know, that they have it on.
Oh,
where he
yeah.
is. So
never mind.
Dan,
I
don't
won't
blink.
tell you what the right.
Dan, if it's going on now, don't blink. Just listen to the sound of KGB's voice.
you guys ready for a just amazing radio segue?
Yeah.
Dan will be back tomorrow, but one CNN anchor won't.
Oh,
You like
yes.
this?
Well done.
Jim Acosta, he gave a just a sad, tearful goodbye yesterday on CNN.
Just wanted to end today's show by thanking all of the wonderful people who work behind the scenes at this network. You may have seen some reports about me and the show. And after giving all of this some careful consideration and weighing an alternative time slot CNN offered me, I've decided to move on.
Yeah, well, the alternative time slot that they offered him was the graveyard shift. They said, Jim, we could put you on at midnight. I mean,
They knew he wouldn't accept that.
Yeah.
Talk about the fall that this guy had. He was like a big deal over at CNN for a little while, but I think his goodbye would be better with a little sad violin. Do you have sad violin?
I absolutely do.
Let's cue up the sad violin.
Just wanted to end today's
There
show
we
by
go.
thanking all of the wonderful people who work behind the scenes at this network. You may have seen some reports about me and the show. And after giving all of this some careful consideration and weighing an alternative time slot CNN offered me, I've decided to move on. I am grateful to CNN for the nearly 18 years I've spent here doing the news. People often ask me if the highlight of my career at CNN was at the White House covering Donald Trump. Actually, no. That moment came here when I covered former President Barack Obama's trip to Cuba in 2016 and had the chance to question the dictator there, Raul Castro, about the island's political prisoners.
What a liar.
As the son of a Cuban refugee, I took home this lesson. It is never a good time to bow down to a tyrant. I've always believed it's the job of the press to hold power to account. I've always tried to do that here at CNN, and I plan on doing all of that in the future. One final message. Don't give in to the lies. Don't give in to the fear.
What a loser.
Hold on to the truth and to hope. Even if you have to get out your phone, record that message. I will not give in to the lies. I will not give in to the fear. Post it on your social media so people can hear from you too. I'll have more to say about my plans in the coming days, but until then, I want to thank all of you for tuning in. It has been an honor to be welcomed into your home for all these years. That's the news. Reporting from Washington, I'm Jim Acosta.
What you really heard is the rats scurrying off the Titanic.
Oh, I'm holding out hope that I never have to hear from him again.
I love how he says towards the end, he's like, okay, he has like a call to action. Pull out your phone and post that you're not going to give in to the lies. How many people you think followed his lead and did that?
2. And I'm being generous.
I think you're being overly generous. I think that's about 200% more than I would say.
I posted on my ex. He reposted someone praising him on his ex. He reposted multiple, like when he was doing that thing with Tim Burchett. He reposted someone saying he handled that like a pro. He's like, what an ego this guy's got. He has to post people praising him.
Tim Burchett just ruined him.
Oh, he was over after that.
That was last week when Tim Burchett said, you're losing in the ratings to SpongeBob.
Yeah,
right?
Reruns of SpongeBob.
Reruns of SpongeBob.
Not new episodes.
Not even new episodes. He said you're losing to reruns of SpongeBob.
This is not Fox, Congressman. You can't just spin a tail and pull the wool over people's eyes.
Yeah.
This is CNN. This is the news. We are asking you to come on and tell the truth.
And that's why more people are watching the Cartoon Network SpongeBob reruns right now, Jim. Look, I left the White House during a riot. My life was threatened. My life has been threatened within the last few weeks, yet there's no coverage of that. And you all continue this narrative attacking Trump. You just can't stand the fact that he won and that America spoke.
Congressman,
and that,
no,
and that your view is very diminished.
That's not the case at all.
I love it. This isn't Fox. This is CNN.
Yeah, like really.
We believe in the truth. CNN just fired you, bro.
Yeah, what a petty thing to say also.
Yeah.
You know?
This isn't Fox. You're right. People aren't watching.
Yeah, about 5 million to 10 million people watch Fox every day.
Yep.
CNN gets 300,000 because there's 300,000 hospitals that are forcing them to watch it.
Yeah. CNN. They're just a sinking ship. Jim Acosta is out at CNN. Did you see that Google Maps is getting an update?
No.
You didn't see the Google Maps update coming?
Oh, wait.
Get ready for this.
What are you doing? What's the plan here?
No, it's not. There's no plan. It's just the news. I'm just delivering the news. Joan probably saw this.
I did, but I got to tell you, it hasn't arrived yet.
Okay, so Google posted to Twitter on Monday that they would be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico on all of their maps to the Gulf of America.
I cannot wait. It still says Gulf of Mexico right now, but I cannot wait.
It's awesome. I'm here for it. They said, we received a few questions about naming within Google Maps. We have a long-standing practice of applying name changes when they have been updated in official government sources, the tech giant said. So they're going to have the Gulf of Mexico be referred to as the Gulf of America, and the highest peak in America will once again be known as Mount McKinley. I love it.
This is why we voted for Trump right here.
The knees are bending. Do you hear the collective knees bending? It's awesome. It's awesome. Are you a big movie guy?
Yeah.
Have you seen the new Captain America movie?
I've seen the trailers and stuff. I want to see it, but I'm now hesitant to see it because I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah. Did you hear what the star Anthony Mackie said?
I mean, this is ridiculous.
If I'm a big time movie producer, I think that it's time to say your stars aren't allowed to do press. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's about time that we don't let.
For me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term, America, should be one of those representations.
The name of the character.
It's in the name.
Yeah.
It's in the name.
And the origin of Captain America is him helping fight World War II and the Nazis and keeping the American dream alive. That's the entire plot of Captain America.
It's baked in the cake. But now we have Black Captain America, and he says that it shouldn't be about America. I feel like he tries to clean it up after he says it.
It's about a man who keeps his word, who has honor, dignity, and integrity. Someone who is trustworthy and dependable. It's kind of. This is kind of like an aspect of a dream coming true.
Maybe the American dream?
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. Sounds a lot like the American dream to me.
I feel like he could have, if he wanted to go this route, he could have been like, it transcends America at this point.
Yeah.
There's so many people look up to Captain America. It transcends it. It's about being honorable and brave.
It's more than America.
Yes.
Because that's adding America still to it, but now he's completely taking America out of it.
It's like, dude, what are you doing? Have we not learned on multiple occasions to just stop bashing America and American culture in these promos?
Yeah.
Like, why would you send this guy out there?
It's getting tiresome.
It's insane. It's a bit insane. This is what we deal with on a daily basis in this country. And we saw this in the promo with Wicked, and we saw this in the promo with Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, and now we're seeing it with Captain.
I think they're trying to. Snow White might get canceled, like legitimately. From what there's a lot of reports going around that they're very worried about it.
Well, they're worried about it because of all the trash she was talking.
Oh
in the
yeah,
first,
she's awful.
And it was like Snow White and the seven diverse engineers.
Oh yeah, and I remember Piers Morgan had like a guy from a WWE who was a midget that was
Hornswoggle.
Hornswoggle, yeah. He's all about the word. He doesn't care. Like he's all for it. And he's like, well, the movie is called Seven Dwarves. Why are we not casting dwarves? Which is an excellent point. We talk about diversity. There you go. And they can't handle it.
Well, and don't they get mad when if somebody that's handicapped isn't, if a character that's handicapped isn't played by an actual handicapped person, that's offensive. But when the role is an actual dwarf, they need.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Well, and then they went and reshot all of the dwarves in Snow White.
Yes.
And now they're all computer animated, actual dwarf-looking characters again.
And then they said she's not going to be saved by the prince or whatever it is.
Well,
I'm like, what's the? Have you learned? Do you know the story?
Toxic masculinity.
Yeah, Snow White's going to wake up and from the apple and just fight a bunch of ninjas.
Well, and they trashed the entire they just trashed everything. Snow White, the original movie is classic because she's the first Disney princess that openly prays in a movie.
Yeah.
It's Americana. Don't mess with it. Same with Captain America. Stop.
Yeah.
Please stop.
Just stop ruining classics.
Or just make something original. Yeah. Don't you feel like culture stopped in the early 2000s? Like right around 2012, we stopped getting original ideas.
I mean, every movie coming out right now is like a sequel to some, or a remake.
Yep.
There's nothing original coming out right now.
No.
Except for Amelia Perez.
Jeez. Yeah, that was original.
Oh, my goodness.
That's going to win a bunch of awards,
And it has
too.
more nominations than Wicked, and at least Wicked has something to it. It's like Wizard of Oz, and like my mom loves Wizard of Oz, so it's like there's a connection there. But
and there's a backstory, and
Yeah.
people love the play for years and years and years.
yeah,
And
there's history to it.
yeah, but no, the Chop Shop movie is going to be winning all the awards.
It has 2 for original score, which are about things that should not be sang about.
Yeah, yep. So that's the state of the movies right now. New York Magazine, they're getting called out. Did you see New York Magazine?
I haven't.
They posted a cover photo, and it said "The Cruel Kids Table," New York Magazine, and it was an inauguration party for Trump, and they cropped out all the black people in the photo to make it look like it was only white people at the party.
My God.
Yeah.
This is just the worst thing that they could ever have done.
That's against the law, I'm pretty sure.
But not only did they crop out the black people from the photo of the black people that were at the inauguration party, in the article, they complained that the entire room is white.
That's lying. That's
slander.
That's slander, yeah.
Yep. CJ Pearson hosted the event, and he said, "I hosted this event, and New York Mag intentionally left me out of their story." So a black guy hosted the event. just you can't make this up. They left me out of their story because it would have undermined their narrative that MAGA is some racist cult. They also didn't include the fact that Waka Flocka was at the event. Waka Flocka is Waka Flocka is like a gangster rapper.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure he was like all about Trump going into the election as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah. They literally did the meme where the camera. Elon posted this. They literally did the meme where it's like the camera and the guy's running away and the guy has the knife.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? But inside the camera shot, it looks like the guy running away is stabbing the other guy.
Yeah.
Like they did the meme. This is the state of American media currently. Hopefully, they can get their act together and fix it. I don't understand why they haven't seen the American people and heard them when they say enough is enough with this stuff.
They're doubling down on their double down. They're going to double down after that and after that until it's too late.
Their ignorance knows no bounds. We got a lot to cover on the show today. My name is Chris Ann. We're going to talk to, again, my friend Monica Page, who is a White House reporter for Turning Point USA. She's inside the White House press briefings. We're going to talk to her at 9:35. And then at 10:05 today, we're going to talk to Sarah Maccabee and her husband, J6 political prisoner Ronald Colton Maccabee. That's going to be a fascinating conversation. Stick around for it. A lot more to come right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.